going to dumb this down for you real quick, Scott. Camera no worky. That's the way it feels. So.
All right, let's see. All right, let's go.
You guys good?
Yeah.
Need a drink?
We're good.
No? Do you want to run out?
No.
That's good.
Not yet.
So you came from Salisbury. You came up from Salisbury today?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Were you down on working on a job?
Yeah, we were servicing some weed mans.
Oh, yeah. You were telling me about the weed man deal.
Yeah.
So it was like an Aurora thing, is that right?
So it's Flexi Shield mainly.
Oh, okay.
It was mainly our getting into Flexi Shield for most of our fleet options, and that green that they picked out was really good.
Yeah.
Is it a green Flexi Shield?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a pine green.
So then, but then there's like the majority of it's yellow, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's both Flexi Shield?
Yep. Oh, no,
Nice.
no. So the yellow is 3M.
Okay.
2080 laminated in Hexus body fence.
Ooh.
So when we first started, we were doing wet installs.
Mhm.
And I mean,
With the 3M?
well, it was dry 3M.
Mhm.
Then the second layer was the PPF.
Got it.
And of course, we're double wrapping.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not cost effective.
Well, it's
So
kind of a pain too.
yeah.
I mean, we all do it, right? Like if you have to do it, but
and I mean that's the easy way. That's the better way.
doing it twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, right now what we're doing is you have to manage the install very well if you try to do it with a thick film like that, and PPF changes the game when it's on vinyl.
Sure.
We're running into the failures of the roofs and the hood valleys if the installer doesn't know how to feed
Yeah.
properly and they try to bridge it at any amount, it'll fail.
Yeah, it'll fail.
So we swapped it out for Aura. They had a comparable yellow, and it is PPF. So we were like, you know what, let's try it out.
So is it a dry apply PPF?
Yes,
Nice.
but
Not
sticky.
nice.
It's sticky as heck.
So are you using tack reducer or anything? Or? Yeah.
So they have a tack reducer specifically from them.
Am I saying that right? Aurora?
It's Aura, I think.
Aura?
Yeah.
Yeah.
AURA.
AURA.
So it is a super sticky film, and it's like stretching a balloon.
It is.
I've seen the guy. If it's the same company, there's a very particular or specific guy that like does all their Instagram and
His owner.
TikTok.
Or he is the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot his name, but
He's young. Is it the
Yes.
same guy?
yes.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep.
So did you reach out to him direct, or how does that? I don't even know how they sell it.
So they have their own site. They have a really cool 3D color swatch program on their website. If you're a shop, you can go on there and put your logo into it and like show your customers cars with colors on it.
No way.
So it's almost like a Xeno, but there's no cost to it.
Josh, can you pull him up real quick? I want to see if this is the same guy. I don't know if it's the same guy. The guy I'm thinking of does not seem like he should be running the business.
That
On
does
Instagram?
that does the installs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm blocked from his TikTok.
Really?
Yeah,
That's not good.
I had my words.
Oh, man.
Haley,
I want to get to that because I've seen you make some posts.
if you,
Nothing terrible, but like,
I don't want to interrupt.
No,
but
you're
if,
good. Go.
if you'll just pull the microphone to you
yeah.
a little bit closer.
Oh Lord.
There we go. Yeah, that way we can hear you.
Okay.
All right, who's the guy again? I'm sorry, I was.
I think you can find him on
Aura.
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 And I'm going to say Aurora probably 5-6 more times at least.
It's okay.
Aura.
Or
I may be saying it wrong too.
films or something like.
Yeah. The vinyl wrap or
I think it's the guy. But he's the content is super specific. Like, you know, like as soon as you hear his voice, you know that it's him.
he's trying to be a DIY or teach the DIYers
Yep.
with his film because that's the market for it.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. Is he in the manufacturing or is it
I think he's
white label probably?
something like that.
Yeah, buying it from a manufacturer and then putting his logos and stuff on it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's mutual. I mean, but he did start to release their Hyper PPF, which is supposed to be the dry apply.
Okay. And that's the yellow that you're using. That's right.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. You're good.
It was a surprise because it was a 4 mil thick vinyl. And when I'm putting 3M and body fence on there, I'm at what, 9?
Yeah. Well, depending on which body fence, I think body fence is somewhere around 6.
I think I did it 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Okay.
Yeah.
And 2080 is right at 3 mil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, give or take.
yeah. Sure.
So it's a super thick film. So going back down to 4 mil as a PPF, it was concerning. However, getting with it, it actually has more resistance to a blade and breakage and stretching than FlexiShield. ShiEld's at 7 mil.
Is FlexiShield, is it urethane? I don't know if it is.
I think so.
I think it has to be considered a PPF, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's because
FlexiShield is interesting because they came in hot, and I think that their timing was really good.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it was prime time. Like the industry wanted it, needed it.
And I mean, it's always a good thing to have a color change, and the fact that it doubled as protection,
For
and
sure.
they were showing the results. They had a
they did a
marketing
good job.
giant right there. I mean,
So, the guy you're talking about, he does videos here, or
of course.
Go back up and see if you can find reels,
Yeah.
because all these are pictures. I don't know what he's got going on. There we go.
Well,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on there.
that one was. All right, go down to that red one right there with the heat gun.
This one.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get some volume here.
Your car. This might seem obvious,
Yeah,
but I've
that's the
seen
guy.
people do it. Never heat up the material and squeegee at the same time. You want to squeegee with nice, even, consistent strokes while the material's cool. But the thing is, you want to make sure that the material's glassed out
So
in the
it's
correct
guys-
position before you start squeegeeing.
It's
Because
guys
if
like
you
this
squeegee the
that
material
that
completely
made me
out
start
and then
doing
you have to
the
lift it
reaction
up to
videos.
readjust it, you're gonna get
Because
screw
well,
and the last
so
thing
it was
is,
a
don't immediately
it's kind of a
glove or
group of
squeegee the
things, right?
material
Like my
after you heat it.
my daughter
You
had
want
just
to let
turned
it cool down for a
16,
few
and it was
seconds
like,
before you
okay,
touch
we
it.
want to
By
introduce her
doing
to
it this
social
way,
media,
you'll
but
also
we want her
prevent
to
more. And
create.
you're
So like I kept hearing this thing in my head. It was like create, not consume, create, not consume.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want her to get in the habit of. So there was that mixed with watching videos like that, where it was my head like I'm talking to him. I'm like, oh man, don't do that. Why are you doing that? And you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was like that's kind of where
There
that
was
came
just
from.
one
It's
notable
just
one.
so stretchy.
Yeah. Is it that stretchy? Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. Like we like pulled it apart from each other, trying to see how like far we could pull it together. Like it is stretchy, and then it goes right back
Does it?
whenever you heat it.
Yeah. So your corners and everything, like you're getting tight corners and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm managing at the moment, but when I went back a few weeks later after testing this, it's holding.
Nice.
The last ones I did put an extra amount because the Super Duty hoods are just not easy.
Sure.
You got to get the proper stretch on it laterally and both corners to be able to overcome the front hook and not have any tension from the front peel back on you over time.
Sure. Especially with thicker material.
And that's what we were doing with the 3M and the body fence. It was just magnifying it.
So the repositionability of 3M, like that portion of it was fantastic, but then now the Aura stuff, you're running into, it's just tacky.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then being outside
Mm.
and it's humid.
Mm.
Tack reducer does help, and
Yeah.
it helps immensely. And when you don't use it, it's fun. But I was able to actually, body weight pulls and everything.
Mhm.
No, I got a good position where I could push
Tear up
forward
into it,
on
yeah.
it, and I was able to overcome the valley with a rear pull that probably would have failed in 3M instantly
Yeah.
after I heated it. But then as soon as you touch it with heat, there is no response from it. So it's like true PPF. There's
Yeah.
no response from heat.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting because normally, like with films like that, you kind of set your expectations a little low going in. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
that's where it is we don't know how long it's going to last
Sure.
long term yet because it is a new product.
well,
I
then
mean,
and removal, right? You never know how. But that's
Exactly.
even with big brands. Like you look at them and when they come out with a new product, you don't know how. You know what I mean? Like they can tell you everything in the world about how great it is and all the performance and all the different
Yeah.
stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, what's this going to be like in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
depending on your climate too.
Mm-hmm.
It could get nasty.
Sun-baked stuff is not the same.
Well, I seen you made a post the other day that said that you guys had only been doing it for 5 years. Is that right?
Yes.
So 5 years. So where did you start? Like, how did you get into it? Or is it easier to say where you met? Were you sticking before you met?
No.
No,
No, we started this together.
that's
Yeah.
cool. So everything that you've learned together.
Yes.
That's cool. That's exciting. So, and you're working together, you're doing jobs together,
Yeah.
you're doing mom and you're doing travel, which is tough.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but okay, so let's start there. Where did you meet?
So we met out in Colorado.
Okay.
He was stationed out there. I was out there with my ex. We were both going through a divorce at the same time whenever we met.
Colorado.
Yes.
You're a long way from home.
North Carolina's home for me.
Oh, okay.
I'm from here.
So you started in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Mike, are you from Colorado?
So I'm from Maine.
Okay. How'd you live in Colorado?
I was prior military.
Okay.
Since I got out of high school, went straight into military. Stayed there for 5 years.
Can I ask why? Did you come from a military family or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My father and my brother.
Gotcha.
They were in my dad was in 82nd, and my brother was aviation electronics.
Did you go that route as well? Did you go Air Force or?
I went. It was Army aviation, but I did
Army.
helicopter maintenance and structure work. So my day-to-day was carbon fiber, fiberglass, and sheet metal repairs. So rivets.
Why would you go from that to WrapOn? Were you passionate about aviation? Like, I mean, did you?
Yeah, I loved that job. Like,
Yeah.
it was, I was able to be OCD. I was able to do what I needed to do and perfect it. Of course, I wasn't the best at it at the time, but I can make good money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just when I was going towards the end. It was towards the end when we decided about stickers was I had a GTI, and it was my first car I was going to be able to mod. I wanted to wrap it, change color.
Mm-hmm.
I asked someone to wrap it, and they told me $2,400, and I said, I'm in the military. I don't have that money.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure I can figure it out myself because I do what I do.
So you were still in the military when y'all met?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I gotcha. And you were stationed in Colorado?
Correct.
Is that how that works? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know much about it.
So Fort Carson's in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Got it.
Yeah.
Spectrum is out there.
Got it.
We were out there from 2017 to 2019.
I was out there for about 7 years before he got there.
Got it. What took you there?
That math didn't work.
That's all right.
My relationship before him.
So you were in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
married military, moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
So did you two know each other? Okay. Not that it matters. I'm just curious.
No, so we met in the separation periods, and we were both into fitness at the time.
Gotcha.
It was something that shouldn't have happened, but it did.
But it did.
It developed into something more, and now it wouldn't have been any different. I don't think it worked out really well.
Yeah.
She's passionate about cars and everything else. Like, it works out well.
Yeah, that's
That
cool.
was prior to him.
You were just into it.
I grew up working on cars with my dad.
Gotcha.
So that was something that was constant through my life. My dad's a mechanic. He can work on anything. So I went there with him because my sister and my mom did pageants, and that wasn't for me.
Well, I did see, like, you're into cheer, right? Like, you do the cheer thing?
Yes, I did competition cheerleading for a very good portion of my life.
And that's no joke.
No,
Like-
I loved it too.
Yeah?
My middle daughter does it now, so it's
see you-
really nice seeing that.
I see you make the post about it. And
Oh,
like,
yes.
Yeah. So my daughter cheers too, and she's been doing it since she was like 3 or 4. She started with gymnastics, moved into cheer.
Yep.
And it's a different ball game, man. Like, if you
It
don't
really is.
if you don't know anything about it, like, it was a big eye-opening thing for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
my daughter's tough, and she's smart, and it was like, oh, cheerleading. Jeez, here we go. We're gonna have to.
But it's
tough.
tough.
It's a different ball
It's
game.
tough whenever you go competition.
Yeah.
It is.
She went
It's
straight
so
into
much.
competition. She
Yep.
went, yeah. So she was doing gymnastics, and then they do at the beginning of each year at the gym that they were at, or she was doing dance, and then she wanted to switch over to. She did some tumble classes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And at the beginning of the year, they always like open it up. So like, depending on, you can go and just, hey, if you want to go try cheer, go try
Yeah.
it, you know? And so once she tried it, then she was, oh, I love it. I want to do
Yeah.
it. But I, not knowing, right, I was like, oh, this is a rah cheer thing. Like, this is not
No.
a totally different ball game. So
Sport.
it really is. Like, it's a full blown,
It's nice that it is considered a sport now, because when we were doing it, that was a very, very big debate.
sure.
That it wasn't the same.
They can't say it now.
No. The things that we put our bodies through, the amount of tumbling and throwing like everybody up in the air, like we weren't some little sissy group. Like we had girls twisting high up
For
in
sure.
the air.
Yeah.
We were all flipping the whole
Oh, I don't-
team.
you
like,
go to any Worlds event, or
Oh,
you
yeah.
go to Worlds
we went to Worlds this year. We're going to Summit next year.
next
The
year.
other
Yeah,
one.
yeah, but both. I mean, you go to either
Yes.
one, but you go to Worlds and you watch any division, right? It's impressive. But
It
you
is.
watch like those level 6 girls, like
It's crazy.
it makes me uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, so Caitlin started doing cheer for the school last year.
Yeah.
Like, she wanted to get that experience, and it's been really cool. You know what I mean? It's like she stands out because,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Because she can tumble, she
everything,
can do
yep.
things that others can't. That's what I loved about doing high school cheerleading too.
But it was interesting though, like to watch that the transition, like
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like there's still like that little bit in her that's like her mom will bring it up every once in a while, like, hey, look, do you want to maybe go to competitive next year? So she did last year. She went to a few competitions. She filled in for some girls and
Yeah.
stuff. So she'll do that every once in a while. But anyway, that's a tear off on cheer there. So, but so you were working on cars. Is there anything like any one particular car? Like, was there something that stands out when you look back?
My first car was a 65 fastback.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And my dad got my sister a 67, like Eleanor.
Yeah.
And we built her to look just like Eleanor. Me and my dad, not my sister. So she shouldn't have got it. And I told him that. I wanted it. She was beautiful.
Yeah. That's
But
cool.
my dad's always had all types of cars. We've had so many Jeeps, El Caminos, monster trucks, Novas. Like it's endless, the amount of cars that me and my dad touched together.
That's cool.
And I loved it. And then getting older, that's whenever he's younger than me. So whenever like Fast and the Furious came out, like got a part of like the car stuff, started like street racing. We had Freaky Friday back then, where everybody would take it out to the track and then race home.
It was before your time. Don't worry
It
about it.
was.
It's fine. It's all
It
right.
was.
No, that's cool.
But that was a big part of my life. And then got married to somebody that was not about that. So my life went away from that until I met him.
Gotcha.
So it was nice for him to be like, so do you? I'm like, absolutely. I love cars.
Yeah. So you were still in the Army, and then you've got your GTI. You're going to start wrapping it, right? Like, so what was that process like? Did you have somebody to lean on? Was there a local shop?
No.
I just looked up some videos. We already know everyone that's notable around 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
It was, well, actually, no, sorry, this was 2019.
Yeah, it was.
It was my first to go into Vivid.
Okay.
Yep.
Just got on eBay and looked up carbon fiber wrap and
Well, I actually went to the Vivid website and
Okay.
picked out a cool color.
Gotcha.
He
but
does
I-
his research with stuff. So
Good
he's
for
like,
you.
I'm not just
I
going to go
wanted to
here and
make
do
sure it
this.
was the color that I was going to like. And
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was CK Wraps I was watching. Of course, he was using it.
sure.
So I know it couldn't be that bad.
That makes more sense.
So I did like Psycho Blue, and I did my hood, my mirrors, and my handles.
Ooh.
And interior. No, we did interior in purple.
Yeah, interior in the purple. And I mean, the first thing I did, I had a buddy over, and I was like, "Here, grab this, because what is Vivid? The stickiest material
Oh,
you
yeah.
put on."
Do you remember how you found CK? Or was it just a random video you just had?
Google.
Yeah.
It was just how to wrap a hood or something. And
So
I'm
you
sure
so you had some interest. It wasn't like you found him like a video of him first and then came into graphics.
it was all after that guy told me $2,400 to wrap my car.
Got it.
And if I could lay carbon fiber and then sand it out, make it look good, I'm pretty sure I could figure out how to use both my hands to do something.
We had a guy that worked with us for a while, and he left from wrapping cars to doing carbon fiber. And I'd talked to him several times. I think Brady's an awesome guy, but he called me shortly after he left, and he was like, "Man, I'm still wrapping." I'm like, Brady, you're doing carbon fiber. That's complete. And he was like, "Man, there's a lot that convert." He's like, "It's very similar to wrapping."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Man, I'm not going to do carbon fiber with you. It's not happening."
You're like, I don't want that mess. I don't
It
want
does
to
like it's cool. Like he does like a lot of race car. Like they do like a lot of the skid plates for NASCAR, and they do parts for F1 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
No.
still in my wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Like
It's fun stuff once you
he's,
do it.
he's hitting all the right notes on the racing side,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do it. You know.
So it was mainly, I just started with that. And after that, it was mainly just me customizing my car on my own dime. And then we got out. And then I was going to stick around Colorado.
When you say you got out of the military,
Yeah.
Correct.
how does that work? Like, did you just there's a date and you know that you're going to work to that date, and then once you're done, you're done.
Yes.
Okay.
So usually you have a ETS date.
Yeah. And then
And-
you can re-enlist, right?
Yeah. You have options usually.
And you were done. You didn't want to do the military thing anymore.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
My outcoming was more of a loophole to get out. I got out how I got out,
I got you.
but
You're not wanted or anything, are you?
No,
You're not going to kick in the door and come out.
no. The great thing is I got out of the Army and still got my 100%.
No,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
100% disability.
It means I
Oh,
have
okay.
issues
I
that were
gotcha.
military connected, and you usually get paid
Gotcha.
for it.
That's cool.
So that helped out with starting everything, but I didn't get that when we first
Yeah.
started everything.
Our livelihood was jumping into rapping.
So left from the military straight into rapping.
So I got out. We moved back to North Carolina because we could get help with the kids, everything like
My
that.
whole family is here.
Gotcha.
We just had Jackson.
Yeah, we just had our son.
What part of North Carolina are you from?
Spring Lake Fayetteville area. I grew up on Fort Bragg,
Okay,
the Air
gotcha.
Force Base and all of that stuff. My
So
dad was in the Air Force.
He was in the military.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So we came back, and I mean, I needed a job. I wasn't going to go into aviation because to get into aviation, you need to have a nice toolbox. And I'm not the person to just get a Harbor Freight toolbox and go into it. This is people's lives in your hands, and you
Yeah.
need to make sure you have the best tools that aren't going to break.
So this is a real, like, you're serious. I thought maybe that was like a metaphor or something. You're dead serious. Like, you didn't want to go into aviation because you didn't have the proper tools.
Yes,
Yes.
that
That's
was
cool.
the biggest thing.
I could have got a toolkit, probably 3-4 grand. But I still would have needed to get my certifications, even though I had everything backlogged for my job. It only does so much. So you still have to get your licenses.
Sure.
I weighed that against wrapping and which one was going to be cheaper for me. At first, when I got out, I started being a car salesman.
Really?
Yes.
Like a used car salesman?
Well, I went to
BMW.
dealerships. I went to Ford first.
Okay.
Tried Ford. I'm not going to remember all the things to sell people about a Ford. I don't care. It's got a radio. It's got a steering wheel.
That wasn't his forte on vehicles.
Then I went to BMW because, again, I like the German
Sure.
VW world. Like was more my kind.
I would have thought for sure maybe a mechanic or something, but salesman
That's
is a
there.
tough.
That's me.
Okay, right. The mechanic.
Yeah.
See, and I would think it was the complete opposite. I would think you would be more of in the sales, right? Like you're outgoing and like you're talking,
Yeah.
like, you don't seem like you met a stranger. You, on the other hand, seem like you don't want to talk to anybody at all. Like,
He's very to himself. I'm very hello.
well, then that's probably why you moved on from sales. Then that makes sense.
Yeah, I wasn't a very big talker, but it was great. So after that, it was like the hours. I just wasn't going to do it. And
Yeah.
I looked at her and I already did the math. I've already thought about it. I looked at our bills. I said, I need to make $100 a day. And I bought tools to tint and wrap and just went from there. I paired up with a detailer. We did that for about 6 months. Didn't really pan out the way because I wanted to include her basically in everything.
He didn't want me to be a part of it. Women didn't need to be doing that.
Ooh.
And it wasn't that he voiced it. It was just the actions that were there. It
Yes.
was shifty and it was weird. So it was better off pull away. And then I started my LLC at that point.
Got it.
And from there, I mean,
How have you experienced that a lot?
On and off.
Yeah.
I feel like the more confident that I've gotten over the past few years, I am now more respected. And it makes a difference because if I'm confident in what I'm doing, why wouldn't they respect me?
Sure.
So
But do you think
I've
that-
earned it, I feel like, a little bit maybe.
Do you think that that's more of like an installer thing or more of like a woman thing? Do you think it,
I feel like it's just women in the car industry.
period?
It's touchy. It's touchy. It's either
I
you're
mean,
all
it's
in.
it's came
and
a
you're-
long way,
it
right? Like
has.
people are a lot more open-minded than they
It
used to be,
has
for sure.
because we can do it.
Right. Right.
I enjoy taking apart cars. He hates taking apart cars.
That's interesting.
That I love it.
Yeah.
I love being able just to walk up and be like, I already know how to do this. Go away.
Yeah. And I'm sure, yeah, like you said, you love it, right? Because that's kind of the best case scenario. You walk in and mirrors off, handles off, we're ready to rock. Like,
I've already done everything.
yeah, it's kind of the best case scenario, really.
Yep. And it's definitely good when we have a nice system.
Yeah, that's cool. So you separate from the tenor guy, right? You're going to move on to the next thing.
Yes.
And so you start Center Creations.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep. So it's always been Center.
Yes.
Yep.
So Center Creations the name was a play off of our last name.
Sinclair. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was just authority is not really my thing.
Okay.
So
Yes.
it kind of played into it, and it was just,
I like it. I think it's cool.
I was able to put a horror theme on it and
Sure.
Yep.
make it a little bit
And
more different.
we've ran with it.
Yeah.
Ran with it.
It's a
like
little
that.
little darker, a little,
Yeah.
kind of.
We already
But we're
knew.
not like I have a very dark, like, I guess, look.
Aura.
But I'm not.
So no.
I am ADHD. Hello.
Well,
a lot
I
of
did.
the time.
So you got a lot of tattoos.
Yes.
So what's your favorite? Or do you have a favorite? Does it work that way?
I have to say, well, that's hard
Is it?
because I'm the one I'm working on all right here is really nice, but I have to say our penguins because we both have penguins
Oh,
together.
that's cool.
Instead of getting names, we got something that meant a lot to both of us.
So I think you're like, once you get to your neck, you're all in. Like, you know what
Oh,
I mean?
I
Like,
went to my fingers first and my
Oh, no shit.
hands.
Okay.
After I had my second daughter, Alice, in 2012. And yeah, so in 2013,
yeah, because at that point,
I
you're
went
not,
and.
you're not hiding this. Like,
Well,
you can
it
see
was like how I always looked at it. I was either going to do my personal training stuff, because that's what I did, or I was going to do hair.
Okay.
So I was working with my hands no matter what. I was working for myself. And if I was working for somebody, it's a creative look.
Sure.
So no one's going to look at me and be like, oh, you can't do hair.
Sure. It separates you you from everybody else. Like,
I knew what I wanted to do, and it was going to be that so I could be the person that I wanted to be.
Sure. Well, then, and it fits, like you said, it's kind of your brand, right?
Yeah.
Like it fits your brand and you can kind of, that makes sense. That's cool.
We play off it a lot.
Yeah. No, I like it. So, and then the website is it rapdevils.com?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. That's different.
So that was our rebrand was we are Center Creations, but we're the Rap Devils.
as
Gotcha.
labeling our team. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. No, I like it. When I seen it, I had to like it. I read it twice, right? Like I was like, oh, okay. Like, is that right? Like, is that correct? Because you know what I mean? You're thinking center, like, and so
Yeah.
when I see them stacked up, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's clever.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But it's the little stuff because, I mean, I'm not a big company. We knew we were going to lose the demographic and customer base as soon as we labeled our business what we did.
Yeah.
And it's just because
What do you mean, like on the graphic side?
just any view of
What people could think that our company represents.
just
Oh,
because of the name.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So was
But
it?
we've had a lot. We've actually had more people than less whenever it comes, I guess, to a religious side
Mm-hmm.
of thinking that it's not okay. Like we've had more people like, oh, I love it. I'm like, heck yeah.
So like the ones that scared me, talking about names, like trying to name your company or whatever.
Yeah.
Like anytime that I see like Rap God or like anybody that's like
Mm-hmm.
pretty much pro anything is like, yeah,
That high level of
you know what I
I
mean?
am me.
Yeah, elite. That's another one. Like elite rappers. Like, and in some spaces you can get away with it, like training, like the
Yeah.
elite rappers training stuff like that makes sense to me. But like as a company, like, whew, man, you are turning up magnifying glass.
If you
on
can't hold that
Exactly.
torch.
Yeah.
And they're going to be looking.
See,
Right.
I wanted something that was going to make you intrigued.
Sure.
Why are you called that? What are you producing?
Sure.
And that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I
Almost
was
like a
I
bad
want
rap.
somebody to
kind
pull
of thing.
you in. I want you to double take.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. I think it's clever. So you start Center. What year was that?
2020
2020.
during COVID.
During
We
COVID.
started all of that during the downfall of everything.
Gotcha. That's a tough time to start.
We pushed very hard.
Yeah. I mean, we were busy. We stayed steady. There was some
Yeah.
strange like commercial stuff that, going and doing like the stickers on the floor, say 6 feet apart. Like all the COVID regulation stuff. Like I think
there was things still and it didn't matter.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stickers still need to be stuck. Right.
Yeah.
We had a huge FedEx program right in the middle of that stuff. It was strange. Like for them to deem us, I can't remember what was the phrase, Josh, when you had to like fill out a form where you became, I can't remember.
Mandatory.
No, we were crap.
It
I
was
forget
like
what it was
essential.
called.
Was it?
Essential workers.
Yeah,
Essential
Yep,
workers.
yep.
workers.
It was like,
Yep.
man, all of a sudden we just became a big deal because like they had to ship all this.
Us.
Yeah, they had to ship all
Yeah.
this stuff, and then the trucks, because of law, they have to be branded. So it was like,
I mean, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, this is when they could fit it in, and they needed that advertising.
yeah, and they needed us,
They needed it done too.
Yeah. and it still sucked. We were out in parking
Yep.
lots, and it was Atlanta, Georgia, and it was hot, and it was a pain, but it was,
Medical trailers.
yeah, it was
Oh
like.
my gosh.
But it was still cool. It was like you would go in places, and we were at one place, the medical trailer one. It was strange. That time was strange.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people, the whole mask thing and like all the mandates and everything. But there was a refrigeration unit sitting out on the yard, and we're wrapping the trailer, and the guy walks in, and he was like, "Hey, you guys doing good? Everything good?" Like, "Yeah, man, we're great. Thanks." And they were being cool. It was a medical facility, but they didn't make us wear the mask as long as we were apart from each other. And he said, "Man, you guys do a great job." And the unit outside that's running, I was like, "Yeah, probably, I don't know, medicine or something." He was like, "Nah, it's dead bodies."
Just like, nice
Like,
one.
what?
Thanks.
So it's like you just keep looking over at it, like, and I don't know about you. I didn't know what to think during that whole time. It was just like, it was kind of
Is it
scary.
because of this? Is it gonna
Are
get
they
me?
dead
Yeah.
because
Is it
Like,
is
what
it a
is-
zombie?
What is going on
Why
right
do you
now?
have it there?
Why'd you tell me? I didn't need to know.
That part. Why did you say?
Like, hey,
Could've
the guy's
kept that
sticking the
to you.
decals. I need to let him know. I'm gonna go tell him about the bodies real quick.
He
Like,
was straight up though. He said, no, this is it every day. This is the medical field. This is what happens. Like, there's nothing different. Nothing's changed.
they were setting up canopies, like these huge like medical units. They'd go out, and it was a crazy time. So, but for you guys, so for us, it was one like I've got the certifications. I've built the relationships. So it was like I was in a position to where it was like, okay, we can pivot. We're gonna make. But you had just started.
Yep.
So how do you
So
what do you do?
when I first did it, right, I was trying to look around and see if anyone was hiring any new installers because, again, I only had my minimal experience, but I was willing to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't really an option.
No.
Kind of had to do it ourselves. And it was mainly just trying to appease on social media to the Fayetteville community or anywhere that was around me within
Yeah.
like 40, 50 minutes.
And you're talking strictly in the color change space,
Yes.
right? Like you're not
Correct.
playing in any kind of other. Well, you mentioned tint. So did you do a little
Started
bit?
with 10.
Yes. I did tint and wrapping because out in Colorado, I had my buddy Jason Omeletsky. He's the owner of Tinter brand, and he's been doing it for a while. He was like,
Oh,
man, look at the numbers. While he was tinting my car, he's like, you're not going to survive in wrapping. You're not. You need to tint. And I was like, okay, I see the numbers.
Sure.
I see what it could do for me.
Sure, you're like $20 a window they're charging for it. I mean, it's 100% markup depending
Yeah.
on where you're at and what you're doing.
It was nice.
And it's consistent, right? Like it's a whole lot easier to find somebody that's willing to
Yeah.
spend $250 versus $2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And at that point, I only needed to make $100 a day,
Right.
so that was my way to make it. I could do mostly anything, but I was trying to learn on the fly, and it wasn't as easy, so I dropped it. And then, I mean, everyone says stick with the one thing, master that,
Got
and
it.
then branch out from there.
Sure.
I mean, everyone's got their own opinions about it because some people like to be jack of all trades.
Yeah.
But in this sense, I knew that wrapping was going to be more of a good focus on
Yeah.
progression.
How was the Fayetteville scene?
It's a lower income.
Okay. It
So we don't-
always has been. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's right there near military, so I figured military would probably help some.
But just like I was in the military, we don't have that money.
No,
No. Like it's because it's all spent on bills.
and booze, right?
Pretty much.
That's not even a lot, though. Like, in retrospect of
Sure.
things,
Yeah.
they just don't.
My attempt at a bad joke. We're gonna have those. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna have some bad jokes here and there.
Well, no, that is a primary drug of use
Yeah.
because you can't do anything else.
Sure.
You can, but
It's not smart.
it's not smart. You'll get caught, and there's only other certain things that don't get tested.
Got it.
So it's like you don't get paid a lot. So like military, they were reserved on their money. And the only time that they have it is on when they come back from deployments.
Yep. And that's whenever they want to get stuff done.
Yeah, and it goes quick too. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, they
So
gotta
were you
pay.
doing like much for the military? Like, is like, or was that not your market?
We had a few customers because our market is going to be all color change, and it was how we were marketing, which is full color change wraps. People would come to us for hood wraps, stripe kits.
Yeah.
When we first started, we were in our first house that we moved out to in here, and it was a 1-car garage. And all of our clients were fine with it. We had a warranty that backed it. Like, if I'm going to break something, I'll fix it.
We had insurance. We had everything. We made sure before we dove into this, it was done to where we could take care of you if something happened.
And you were, I mean, it's all out of your garage, right? Like you're doing it at the house, so you two are working together.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So, of course,
You did reference kids a couple times. So how many kids do you guys have?
We have one together, and I have 2 daughters from previous.
So 3 total.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
so it was the kids definitely, I guess, made me install more than her
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, it was,
Once I started doing it, I was like, I like this. Well, I really like this. This is satisfying.
So I didn't really ask. So he was, he's got his car, he's tinting, he's doing some where he can fit it in, right? Buying some Vivid, watching videos. What about you? Like, how did that work for you? I mean, you just hanging out and watching videos with him and just.
I would come in whenever he would need me. And then it became, like I said, I want to do this with you.
Sure.
I like this. I enjoy this.
Because it'll eat
Let's
up a
do
lot of your
this
time,
together.
right? I mean, you're
in the garage.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot. And then
And
so.
It was me. It was primarily, I'd be out there installing.
Yeah.
And then it's sticking material, and I'd be like, all right, I need a second hand.
Sure.
And since the beginning, she's always been there watching me because I'm like, oh, I got to do this, got to do this.
Sure.
And
Well, sometimes it's just, that's like being together, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
just hanging out, right?
And
Like
that's how it's always been, though. If he was outside doing stuff with his car, I was out there with him.
Sure. My wife
the
will give me a
time.
hard time, and she'll be like, I want you to come home. I get home and I'm like, we're not doing anything. And what are we doing? She's
That's
like, I just want you here. And I'm like,
to do
I'm not
what?
that cool.
I'm just sitting here, like,
Can we do something? She's like, shh, just sit down.
watch this show.
Just sit down and relax, take a breath. So, I get it.
Yeah.
So, but you could help taking stuff
Yes.
apart, and you're doing that part of it, and you're working together, and
But I think I went full in, it was the end of May in 2020 is whenever I went full in with him.
you were like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Because that was when it was like, I need you. I don't, like, I can do it all myself. And in the beginning, I soaked up a lot of information because I'm not from a business background. I'm
Right.
from military, where supervisor basically, and knowing how to manage things. It's a different mindset. But going into it, I didn't have prior experience. I just figured it out. And then whatever little bits of information I saw, I just soaked it up and learned from what mistakes I was making. And
Didn't make him again.
yes, it was a progression of trying to figure out as fast as I could what it would be to be the veteran.
Sure.
Um,
Well, and in the color change world too, you're at like a little bit of an advantage, right? Because you can, yes, the quality has to be super high, right? Like, so you're getting that portion of it. But whereas like in the digital print world, you mess up a panel, you're screwed.
you got to reprint it.
Like, it's a bad day.
Yeah.
It sucks. But in the color change world, you mess up a panel, let's pull it off. Let's try it again.
Yeah.
Right. Like if that cut wasn't perfect. All right. Let's
And
do
you
it
have leniencies like warranties. And
Sure.
of course, all of our cars weren't perfect.
again. Right.
We've actually had a clash with a local rapper that's got a Lambo that thinks he's the rap
best
god.
thing.
Does he hashtag rap god?
No,
Okay.
No,
no,
thank goodness.
he doesn't care about anyone's opinion, so he just doesn't care. But
He cared about us.
one of our first couple of raps was on his YouTube videos, and then so again, we weren't the best, but it was more of we were always making sure that it was doubled down on it and then taken care of. From the beginning, it was let's try to make our next rap better than
the last one.
the last one.
So you started with Vivid, and as you're going through it, did you stick with Vivid? Did you?
No, as soon as I started, it was all 3M, Avery, went through Metro.
Yes.
Um,
That was a complete switch. Complete. Vivid was gone after that.
Yes.
Have you dabbled since?
We did some black for a bit, but then it just lifting around edges. It has a beautiful black. Yes, beautiful black. But in the end, it's still not worth it.
Gotcha.
Still not worth it.
We used it for the piano black there.
Yes.
When they came out with their super high gloss. Wanted to try out every single gloss black because that's the weakest in our industry.
Sure. Well, and then like tech wrap, like they did like the holographics and
Yeah.
so I know Vivid had some of those too, and like
Yes.
there was like a popular run of that. So is
Yes.
Vivid majority calendared?
I think so.
I think so too.
I think it's I think they may have a hybrid, but
Yeah, now when you bring it up, everybody talks about like high Palmer, and they're like with the mixture, like we're on the higher end of
Yeah.
calendared. So you
yeah,
get
you're
that.
just like okay.
Yeah, right. At the end of the day, it's still calendared film, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to treat it a little bit
It's the
differently.
characteristics that are the same, and
Sure.
you got to treat it in its own realm.
So where are you at with that as far as? So you were using 3M, you were using Avery. I'm sure KPMF was in there,
Yes.
Oracle.
Cheetah.
Yeah, Cheetah.
We try to do tech wrap. Tech wrap was our main calendar base that we used.
Yeah.
And where are you at on that as far as casting calendar? Like I know that, especially like a lot of the veterans, they just cut it off and they'll say, look, we're just using cast film. You starting with calendared film? Are you open to wrapping and calendar?
We are very open about longevity and what I got to do to make that take its course. And I'm not going to push the film.
No. If
If-
we have people that are like your car show season,
Mm-hmm.
they're wanting to do it for that season. I'm going to suggest you this really great color because you're going to take it off in a few months, up to a year, because we have already explained to you we don't want to leave this on this car long.
Got it.
Like the amount of details and information we give people, it's probably too much. But if you don't, then they're going to walk out of there not knowing exactly.
Well, I almost feel like you're at a little bit of an advantage, especially in the competition, right? I mean, you started off with some rough stuff.
So that is what we try to strive for. I didn't want to stick to one market. Like nowadays, you got all these veterans 10 years in. They're like, I only touch 3M Avery, and I hear it all the time. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go throw some tech wrap. I'll make it look like I installed some 3M, and it'll stay like I installed some 3M because I put the time and the effort into messing up to make sure that I could understand it. Because most of our upbringing was self-taught. It wasn't watching videos. I mean, of course, I'm going to watch a video here and there, like Justin Pate has some out there.
Absolutely.
I pull
Shout out
tips.
Justin Pate.
Yes,
And there it was. You guys heard it here first.
already there.
Yeah. No, Justin's cool. Justin's a good guy,
Yeah.
man, and he's done a lot for the industry. So
Absolutely.
regardless of where you stand with Justin Page, you can't take away from
No.
him.
You can't.
I mean, I
Like,
still
he's-
subscribe.
He's a very
Yeah.
good man.
The guy's a killer. He really is. I mean, so when I first got authorized for 3M, I went down and took another class with him and went in. And as soon as I walked in the door, he's like, "What are you doing here? What's up? What's going on?" I'm like, "I'm here for the class." He was like, "Get out of here, man. You're not here for the class." I'm like, I'm dead serious. Like, you think I'm going to go be a trainer and I'm not going to come and
Yeah.
watch and listen and learn? Like, of
Absolutely.
course. Like,
I want to at least see what you're
Let
telling
me be a
these guys.
sponge.
dude, he's polished. He does not mess around. I mean, he's good. So,
That's what I heard.
yeah. So speaking of that, class wise, what have you done? And like, so I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like, I'm just curious where you guys
So-
are at as far as classes.
The only thing
Do you
we've
like
done-
them or not like them? For them, against them? There's a strange thing in the industry where people are like, like Justin was the last guest, and he was like, "No certs, don't
Yeah.
need them."
The only one that we currently have is for Flexi Shoulder.
Got
and
it.
the only reason we have it is because of where we work.
Gotcha.
I never touched the film before I went into that class.
Got it.
But due to me using all the calendar material, I could install that film
Sure.
better than half those guys learning it.
Yeah.
Or at least knew what techniques to use.
I seen it. Stuff look great.
Exactly. So
Good job.
thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
that means a lot.
Sticks. Your
Means a
stuff
lot.
sticks.
It's just, of course, you're learning films and stuff, but certs, starting it out, I wasn't going to spend another $1,000 on a cert when I could learn it myself, and I just kept trying to learn and learn. Of course, going to a cert class would be nice, but I'm only going to retain certain tips, which I'm already gaining here and
But
there.
also, whenever you're going to a class, you're learning their technique. You're learning their way. And not everybody's way works for them. The way that he does something does not work for me.
Sure.
I work at a faster pace than he does. And how he goes and he'll swipe something probably won't be the same way I do it.
Sure. Yeah, we get students in all the time, and they're completely different.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's like one of the first things you got to tell them is like, okay, listen, I'm not saying this is the gospel, but just forget everything that you know. Just
Yes.
give me a day and just hear me out, and then you can take what you've
Exactly.
absorbed, and then you can apply it to.
But that's what me and him do with each other as
you're,
well.
yeah, you're doing it anyway.
We absorb from each other. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. And you're like, oh, okay, that works. And he's like, well, I learned this today.
That's what I was going to ask. Does that happen? Like
Yes.
you watch him pull a corner, and you're like, where the hell did that come from? How'd you do? Where'd that?
He'll come home and be like, all right, come here, I need to show you.
Yeah,
And I'm like, all right, man, come on.
I get that.
Yeah, it's
Good for y'all, because I'm bad. I'll be like, oh yeah, you like the corner. I can show you how I done that if you'd like.
and I use this as a comparison. I can't take anything away from what she can accomplish. She can complete a car all by herself, just like many of us can. However, you know, some people need a team to do it, and it's going to be okay.
Wait, and you're a girl, and you can do that? No, I'm just
All by
kidding.
myself.
However, again, since I started to open up into commercial after all of that, the skill levels progress. So
Yes.
noticing things are a little bit more common now. So I can go in there and be like, all right, don't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm seeing you do
Switch
it.
it up.
Don't do that anymore.
So how did that transition happen? How do you go from full on color change, and roughly what year was it when you started dabbling in commercial?
Year 3.
Year 3. So 2022,
Yeah.
22.
Yep, going into 23
Yeah.
So
is whenever you went up there.
we did solid color change. And
Did you say up there,
Yeah.
like Virginia,
no.
Ohio?
Raleigh.
Oh, Raleigh. Okay, is that north for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's an hour and a half for me to get to Capital Wraps. Is where I'm
Gotcha.
at.
Gotcha.
So
Did you start there? Was that the first?
first commercial, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was where I basically was able to learn the ropes.
And that's a haul from Fayetteville to Raleigh, right?
Correct.
What are you talking? Hour and a half or so?
Yeah.
Hour and a half. So
With
that's
that
3
traffic.
hours out of my day.
Sure. How did you find them?
They
So
found
we'll get to
us.
that.
Were you looking?
No.
They found us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we always try to strive to be different and better in our
Yes.
position or in our area so we could get customers and separate ourselves. There wasn't many big players in my area for color change wise. I'm not talking about like 10-year veterans because you got all the sign
You
shops
say there
around.
was or there wasn't?
There wasn't.
Was not.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was only one guy, and he's good at wrapping solid color changes in his own
Yeah,
field.
right.
In
alright.
in Fayetteville, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was the one guy. He was the military guy.
Sure.
He pulled all the military guys
Gotcha.
because he is military.
Sure.
He was there before us.
Yeah. Makes sense. Every town's got one,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we started doing all that, and then we wanted to be better and different. And I always had a dream to go to SEMA.
And he's still there, right? I mean, he's still in
Correct.
business.
Yes.
He's still doing it. Okay.
Yeah. We always had a dream to go to SEMA.
Okay.
And
You've never been?
never been.
Gotcha.
And I mean, I just opened up my LLC. What's better than to put myself there? It's only businesses that can go there.
For sure.
I'm a business.
Yep.
I did it myself. I'll go.
Did you want to go before the business?
Yes.
Of course.
So when I
Oh,
grew
yes.
up, I watched.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was like, it felt like, oh, I'm a business now, so I guess I'll go. But no,
That has been a dream. That is bucket list right
Yeah.
there.
that's cool.
So my start was when I was a kid. I always watched West Coast Customs,
Nice.
and that intrigued me because I wanted to customize cars. I wanted to make it different. I went into auto mechanic trade school in high school and did that for 2 semesters. My memory isn't there. What it needs to be as a mechanic, and I got common sense. I can break apart an engine and put it back together just fine. It's just not my wheelhouse.
Sure.
When I got into rapping, it was like, all right, this is it.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, it's like more of the muscle memory, right? Like you can get
Yeah.
into a flow state and you can rock and roll versus having to remember, man, where does this exact thing go and
the
torque and
torque,
timing.
find
and
the
all- yeah.
find
See,
the
and I like that.
manuals.
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is like if
It
you're
is.
not wired that way, it's like you're fighting against yourself,
Yep.
and that's tough.
And
Yeah.
that was my growing up. It was come out here and sand this with me. Come out here and turn this with me. You're gonna learn how to take this apart and put it back together today because you're bored.
Well, and you're lucky that it fit that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I was in a similar thing where like I would go out to my uncle race cars, so I would go out and like I was not fit for that. You know what I mean? Even though like the family wanted me to be a part of it, so and that's kind of how I fell into graphics. Was it was like I'll just clean the car.
Yeah.
You guys want the car clean? I can do
make
it.
it look good.
I
I'm
can
over
do
here
that.
like, can I work on it and race it, please?
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
please.
my brother. Like he's sharp. Like he can take anything apart, put it back together. Like
Yeah.
he's that guy. You know. Now he raps today.
Yeah.
Right, just because we want to work together and it
Yeah.
makes sense. But like, so I hear you. Like, it just having that mindset of being able to like, you kind of have to know yourself a little bit. You got to know,
Yeah.
you know. So, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you knew that kind of at a young age. So that's cool.
Yeah.
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 And it was both of us like that. The SEMA is the biggest thing. Like we want to attend it.
Have you been yet?
So
That
we
was
went
our-
in SEMA 2021,
Nice.
which is the first reopening after COVID.
Yep.
And that was a goal of ours. It was like we paid early. We made sure we actually missed a flight, had to pay for another one.
Sure
Oh,
did.
wow. Well, how was it?
It was great.
Yeah, he loved it.
I cried walking in there. I was so overwhelmed that it finally happened.
It gives me cold chills just hearing you say it.
And
It's
then
because
we
I
went
get it.
into the like area where they do all like the conversations and stuff. And
It's
Who
the
was
conference room at the
it?
beginning when
who was it? It was Jay Leno and who? Oh my gosh. I cannot remember his name. They did his Mustang. This is
Tim
terrible.
McGraw.
No.
No.
No. He's married to Nicole Kidman. I remember that part. But they were up there talking, and I looked to Michael. I was like, I'm going up there. I'm going to ask a question. I want to talk to them.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. So you got to
Like-
talk to Jay Leno at SEMA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got pictures of that.
That's
She's
cool.
just,
Like,
sitting
and just
there.
like right after that, I run out and like call my dad because that was me and him's thing. Like, still is.
Are they on social? The pictures?
Of what?
You talking to Jay Leno?
You sitting in the front. No, I don't. I think I got it in my
Those are
camera reel.
yeah, those were posted so long ago.
I got
The amount of posts that I have now on
All
Instagram.
Yeah, they're there.
I was gonna have,
But
Josh
it
on 'em.
was that.
21.
Oh my
Send him on a
gosh.
crazy witch trains looking for.
Like I couldn't. Like I was just running everywhere. He's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Just call me whenever you find me because I'm going to the Ford area."
The Ford area is crazy too. Like that whole area, how they like.
And that's what I was raised on. My grandfather worked for Ford. We all were very big and like into that stuff. So I've always had Mustangs. The car I have now is a Mustang, and like I told him, I was like, I want my own car again. I want it. Like you got yours. This is my turn. Go out and get myself a Mustang. And I'm just like, here we are again.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
But
So-
the whole SEMA thing was like I don't think that I could not cry. Like I could cry every single time whenever I get there because it's just I'm here and like I'm not here as a visitor. Like I'm not here like coming to just check things out. I'm here because they said that we could be here.
Yeah, you belong
Like
here.
we passed everything. They said you guys check off. You can come here.
Yeah. No,
And
that's
that meant a lot within the first year of opening.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that was
so
a big push.
it was definitely eye opening when we went there and saw what we wanted to eventually, and we're like, all right, this is what we want to do. It's definitely something to grow into and be passionate about.
And SEMA's hit or miss in the rap space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you get out there and like there's raps from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Oh yes.
You know, so you
Oh,
see some that are
yes.
just immaculate and unbelievable, and then you see some and you're like, what is that doing here? Like you guys are.
And that's the
just-
game. That's the game of
That's the
SEMA.
game. Yeah.
You're like, all right, how quick did you pull this off? I can find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to do it at a gas station. All right,
Yep.
that's new.
But also getting to meet everybody and then going in there a year in and going, we want to go compete on the Hood Rap Challenge.
Yeah.
Him getting second place, first time going in there, and just it was it was awesome to be able to show what we could do a year. And as much as competitions don't matter, being seen as somebody that did very well in it,
Sure.
it was nice for both of us.
It's an
Didn't give
accomplishment.
us a big head, but it was just like, it was humbling.
Sure.
It was a very humbling experience.
What's an accomplishment? It's a big deal.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like I go out there and I don't play around. I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm serious. You're seeing the best of me. This is what
Absolutely.
I got. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
and it's a cool feeling. I get it. I love it.
Getting able to like meet everybody out there, like that was the first time that I was able to meet Jess, Final Vixen.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been a very big part of me since rapping.
Yeah.
Like once we got into it, like I just started searching up like female rappers, this stuff, because what better way to learn but from somebody that has small hands like you, has a small wingspan? Like, what can I sponge off of you that I'm not going to learn from him, who can have a 6-foot wingspan? I got to figure out how to get big when I'm small. And she was very helpful to me.
No, she's
and
cool.
then our relationship grew from there. And we have a really good friendship. I'm very happy to have her and Mike be somebody that we can bounce off of and speak to and just be in the same mindset as well.
No, they're cool. I went out and I did a class out in Scottsdale and went and had dinner with them one night and really got a chance to sit down and get to know them both, and they're very cool. It's funny because their personalities are kind of like what you see on camera and them in person is almost flip flop. You know what I mean? Mike was a whole lot more like very talkative and like he's kind of outgoing. She just kind of quiet and lays back. And so we had an interesting run in with them too at SEMA. You know when they do the pull out, you know, and all the cars pull out of the show and they go down through there. So every year that I've went, I always try to like sneak around to the backside where they actually like pull out of the buildings and then they start the cruise out or whatever. And I'll find somebody and I'll be like, hey man, can I ride with you? You know, and not like every year that I've done it, they were like, of course, yeah, hop on in.
Man.
And I'm like, get out of here, dude. Like, it's the coolest thing in the world, right? So
I would do that. I'd be like, Michael, come on, we got stuff to do.
We got to do this. And you know, so when you're pulling out and like all the streets are lined up and there's thousands of people and all the cameras and all the stuff. So one year we do it and I see this bus, right? There's 3 of us. It's me and both my brothers, and like we're super excited about, you know, like it's their first time and like we're living it. And so I see this short bus and I'm like, that's it. That's the one. So I run up. I'm like, hey man, can me and my brothers ride with you out? And he was like, of course, we'd love it. Yeah, that would be great. And they built, it's like a full custom built bus, you know, and it was made for a guy in a wheelchair, and like it was a really cool story behind the whole thing. But as we're pulling through, Mike and Jess were standing out there and I'm like, guys, come on, come with us, this will be awesome. And so they pile up in the short bus with us and we're riding through.
That's
and like
funny.
there's all this smoke and all these people and it's like this super exciting, you know, we're all jazzed, and then the guy driving the truck's like, it's on fire. The bus is on fire. You know?
You're like, oh.
It got serious like really quick.
Oh my god!
You're like, this is
look at all this
bad.
smoke.
Oh, this is cool. This is,
fantastic. Yes.
This is you and Leno here, right?
Yes.
Or is
They're
that
like,
just-
do we have questions? I was like, me,
I do.
me, please.
Do you remember what you asked him?
What is his favorite car to go out and drive of his?
Ooh, what's his
Because
answer? Hey,
I don't remember. I do not remember.
He's got a massive
He had
collection,
exactly,
right?
and that's why I had to ask.
Yeah.
Because I know of his collection,
Sure.
and he has a lot of one-of-ones.
Sure.
So I was like, we have questions. I have questions.
But the truck caught on fire. We're pulling out, and when we got out of it, do you guys know Farm Truck in Asian? You know how they'll do like it's like Street Outlaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll go and they'll race the farm truck and everything. When we were running out of the truck, they're standing there and they're like, "Hey man, the bus is on fire. You need to get out." I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" I feel like I'm in a dream. You know, it's like this whole
What's
thing.
going on here?
Yeah, like yeah.
What I do?
We just pushed in there, you know. We're just here for the party. It was a really cool experience. So I feel like I have to tell that story because it was a crazy
Oh,
experience.
but that's memorable.
funny.
Oh, it was. I'll never forget that. It was wild. It was very, very cool. So, I seen you made a post not too long ago, and you kind of went off on a tear on the woman thing. You know what I mean? Like you seemed like it was really bugging you. Like it was just like something had hit you wrong. Do you know the post I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it or no?
So the certain individual that I was speaking about,
So it's not.
it was an individual.
Okay.
It was one person.
Yeah. Because it seemed bigger than that. It seemed like it was. It seemed like it.
It's because it's been something that has gone on for a while.
Gotcha.
It takes a lot for me not to like somebody, especially a female. It really does. Like, you really got to rub me the wrong way.
Sure.
And it's just from the moment that this person began, I gave helpful, because me and Jessica going back and forth, I thought it was okay to give helpful information to each other. I did that, and I got snapped back at.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right. I'm going to just pull my cup of tea back out, and I'm not going to do that again.
Sure.
And then...
Which is pretty... It's tough.
It is.
There's
touchy.
a lot
It
of
is.
ego in
Yes.
this business. You know what I mean? So it's
And
hard.
you can't have a big ego. You have to be humble. You have to be willing to still learn no matter what. Just like never stop learning.
Yeah.
That means much more than I know that they think it means.
Yeah, it's not just a
With-
catchy
with-
slogan,
exactly.
right? Like
Never
it's a
stop
real thing.
stop limiting yourself from wanting to learn more. You can't
Sure.
you can't think that you're so good.
Yeah.
You're not. You mess up, and I know you mess up.
Yeah.
Like you can't have that standpoint in life and think that you're the best already.
Right.
Like that's not how it happens. You have to mess up to get good.
She's very hypocritical is the main part that I was hitting on her.
Yeah.
But she had came at me about how I dress and how I am multiple times, and I'm trying to make sure that I had myself set in this industry, not looked at in a bad way. So I kept my mouth shut, and I do that because pick your battles.
Yeah.
Pick your battles. And then we started our whole little bend and wrap thing, and this person was all love and Jess, let me go and do this, and did it with us because me and Jess made it a thing. She's like, what should we call this? I was like, bend and wrap, because bend and snap, the whole Legally Blonde thing. I was like, that's catchy. This is what we're gonna do.
I didn't know the reference, I'm gonna be honest.
Yes.
I got it now. Makes sense.
But she would post photos of Mike and her, and it wasn't anything that anybody was ever meaning to do. We get in funky positions, and I don't sit there and record whenever I'm getting ready to do something. I set up the camera and I go and work.
Yeah.
And if I get something good that's good content to post, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take my screenshots, my photos, whatever. But it went from something playful to her then saying that we were I guess degrading ourselves. That's the word, degrading ourselves, and seeking male attention, seeking male approval, blah blah blah. And that's the exact opposite of what me and Jess were doing. Whenever she started this, she's tagging all of us women.
Well, I've even seen Jess made a few posts that were
Yes.
she was catching a lot of flack for it too.
Absolutely, because
that's how it started too. Is because the male industry. I mean, you see a female, it's what are they looking at first?
Sure.
And
but if you date it back, you look back into whenever the cars started. Whenever, it started becoming cars are awesome, cars are really nice. You look back into the 50s. What did you put on a car to make a man like it more? You put a female on a car.
Sure.
And that's how all of those photos were.
It's funny when you said that, I instantly was thinking Fast and Furious, and then you took it back even further.
Yes.
And so I can't imagine anything like 50s or 60s, but you just like 80s rock music, right?
Yep. And you're having the women on the cars
On the
because
cars, yeah.
it's enticing.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, yes, it may look provocative. It may look like this because I'm not gonna wrap in sweats all the time. I do during the winter, but if it's hot out and it's hot where I'm working, just like with Jess, just like with all of us, I'm gonna have my comfortable wear on it. If that upsets you and I take a photo, I'm sorry. I'm comfortable. This is what I wear all the time.
and she's not doing it to get the reaction that people are thinking that they're trying to get.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's where the guys would come in and be like, see, this is why. And it's no, this isn't why anything. My work speaks for myself. I got good work.
It is a fine line, and you gotta be careful with it. You know.
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean? I mean, not you in particular, just anybody.
In general, yeah. But you can't go back and forth and say, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm gonna do this, oh, you can't do this. This is you're not setting a good example for your children, blah blah blah. your children should grow up seeing you be confident in yourself. Man, woman, son, daughter, like they should see you growing up being confident in yourself and who you are. And if you don't know who you are because you're bouncing back and forth between what your feelings are on something, that's you not knowing who you are.
Sure.
Don't brush that off on everybody else.
Sure.
Because
Justin made a good point when he was in here. When we were talking, he was talking about kissing corporate ass. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what he was talking
absolutely.
about. And I do play in that space, right? Like I try not to think of it as kissing ass, but like at the end of the day, like, you know, I'm a trainer for 3M, right?
Yeah.
So there is a certain image that I try to be respectful to them and take them into consideration. I do it for myself too. Don't
Yeah,
get me wrong.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like I want to, I don't know. It's a tricky thing. Like, and so you be careful. And so when we started doing the podcast and stuff, it was like, you know, I cuss a lot. And I'm pretty opinionated, you know what I mean? I try to be open-minded. So, but it makes you see things a little differently. It makes you like, because if you do want to be authentic,
Yep.
you know what I mean? You do want to be who you
yourself.
are,
You
right?
want people to see you for who you are, not
Yep.
for what you're masking people to think that they're going to like.
Right.
If I
Conforming.
did that, honestly, I don't think I could ever do that. I've never done that a day in my life.
Yeah.
I have been authentically myself my whole life.
Sure.
And that's what I value. I value that I guess I kind of care what people think.
Well, how can you not, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
that's a human, right?
But
People are gonna
that's more of, at this point in my life, I care, like, do you think that I rap well? Does this person think that? That's what I care about. Everything else, I don't care.
Sure.
It's the earning, like, of the respect of veterans that matters more to me in my life now than what anybody else thinks.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's a good way to look at it. I was curious. Like I said, I try to follow your content, and I'm,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so to see.
And like and that's a big thing. Like I try to take it back more than what people are thinking. It's not right now. It's back further. It's back so much further than right now, and thinking that it's a women versus man and all of this stuff. Like it's further, and it still comes into now. But if that's how your thinking is, then
Well, I mean, you got to know too that there's women out there that take advantage of it,
oh yes, absolutely.
right? I mean that.
And that is what makes it hard.
Sure.
That's what makes it hard, because you have girls still in the rap community that are rapping in a bikini.
Right.
Now you are asking for whatever you are asking for. And I'm not saying that like in a bad way. No woman is ever asking for anything, but like you,
Well, they could be seeking that.
You're seeking that
Attention.
purposely.
Yeah.
And like I've told them, I was like, you ain't gonna see me do that. I'm sorry. Like I want you to see how fine my cut is. I want you to know that like I'm laying that and it's nice. Like I don't want you to look at that. I could care less. I want you to care about how good this looks right now, because I just laid a whole panel.
That's
Like
cool.
that's my biggest thing. But I mean, it's always gonna be a back and forth with that type of stuff. But I had told him, I was like, I can't. I was like, I can't let this happen again. Yeah, I kept it up for a minimal amount of time because that's not my content.
Oh, did you
That's
take
not-
it back down?
Yeah,
you
that's
took it
not
down.
the type of stuff that I keep on my page. But it was something that needed to be said.
Well, I'll say this: it was cool to see you be real for a minute. When I say be real, I don't necessarily mean like your other content's not
Yep.
real, but
That was very raw of me, and
was-
I told him
yeah,
that. I
it
was like,
was.
I don't get on the internet like that.
Nobody wants to see two people have conflicts. You know what I mean?
No.
Like you like I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But from that standpoint, it was
I've
cool to like
tried,
see.
I've tried over and over again, like being a very nice person. And it's whenever we had the Flexi Shield class, that's whenever I was like, okay, you're unteachable, and I don't like that about you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly kind of like what I told Troy up at Capitol, because he was like, hey, so how you feel now? I was like, you need to be humbled in certain ways
Sure.
in the industry.
Yeah.
You have to be humbled.
Well, you can do it yourself, or the industry
Or
will do
it
it
can
for
be
you.
done, exactly.
Yeah.
So humble you before someone else does.
It's
100%.
So you said Troy, so we'll kind of go back to that a little
Yeah.
bit. So you're doing color change, you're working on cars,
Back to SEMA.
back to SEMA.
SEMA's where I met them at one of the that was later. SEMA was what it was. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we went to RapsCon,
Okay, got it.
2022.
He was talking to us before RapsCon. He was messaging.
Yes. However,
Yeah, but that's whenever we finally met them.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
RapsCon.
I remember. I was there.
Yes.
Yeah. So we went there for the Rap Olympics.
22.
It was great. I mean, it was Indiana. I just drove up there. It's fine. It's not that far away from
Yeah,
here.
we,
Yeah.
yeah, we drove too.
That was too easy.
was good.
And I got a fresh car wrap, so I wanted to show it off. I mean,
It's crispy. You felt good about it. You're like,
Yes.
hell yeah, let's pull up.
yeah.
Honestly, I haven't looked. You just recently redone
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, just recently.
And then what is the theme?
It's a Captain America
Captain America.
comic wrap. It's if you watch the comics, there's the evil side, which is Hydra, and then I've always been comparable, I guess, in other people's eyes to Captain America. So
He cosplays him, and he looks just
my
like
brother
him.
likes Captain America like I do too. So we have the same bond in that aspect.
You and your brother.
Yes.
Are.
So it's kind of like I played into it, and
Ran
did.
with it.
I needed a
Both like your original rap and this one both were Captain America.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I went third world country,
Oh yeah, look at that thing.
Yeah.
and my first one, all
thing's
that
gnarly.
orange and blue was all black.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I still had the shield, and then on the side there's Captain America, and the other side it's a realistic Hydra, because Hydra is only a logo of like a half octopus,
Mm-hmm.
or it's an octopus with a skull.
Mm-hmm.
So most people will think that looks like a kraken.
Yep.
Which is understandable, but for the sake of comic fans, that is the first realistic Hydra ever made.
Yes.
And then this Captain America is 3D imaging into
So-
being a custom.
So Hydra is a character from the Captain.
Hydra is an organization that constantly battles good. There's only Shield and Hydra tries to take over Shield, which
You're nerding out right now.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah.
happening. That's
I
cool.
mean,
Good for you.
it's only
That's
because I
cool.
had to play into
You
it.
should
and I
see all of
learned
our
it.
nerdy stuff in our bedroom.
Oh,
My
It's all
wife's
over
gonna
the
love
walls.
this episode.
Yeah,
Just so.
that's cool.
So
So you're really into it. Like
Yes.
the comics are like that's a big
Absolutely.
yeah,
thing.
Marvel is great.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
We do like that's
Our
built
son
into
has a
our
bunch of
son's-
comics now.
Yeah,
like,
that was our biggest thing before he was born. We started collecting rare comics.
Yeah.
So he already has a good collection, but he's very into Spider-Man, Marvel, all of that. And then before I met him, I cosplayed Harley Quinn for a lot of events in Colorado. So our nerding out met even worse.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So the first one was, again, paid someone outside the country, and they came out with something cool. I had to wait a while for it, though. I had to wait like 2 years.
You were picky.
Oh wow.
I was picky, and he was taking time, and it was just a shifty situation.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty thorough. Like, especially like the Hydra thing. Like that's
Yeah, it
like
had to be
very
complex.
specific. Very.
Yes.
There's a lot of
And there's only a
important
couple of
details.
kind of designers in the world that'll do that.
Yeah.
Like, it takes imagination to. I mean, this one took AI. Like, I mean, and realism. Like, that's
Yeah.
probably what he did is
Yeah.
used AI generation inside one of the Adobe
Looks
Illustrators.
sweet though.
Exactly. And like when you pull it up, like I wish I could have 3D printed that shield. Like that
Mm.
shield was a custom shield that he
Yeah.
built for me, custom star. Like you can't it's not copyright.
Gotcha.
So it was all black because I wanted him to simplify and get me the design.
Mm.
Kept that on for 2 years. And then I had my other buddy locally redesign for its lava, basically just that flowy lava-ness. And then
The water like type thing on the other side. So it's still that half and half of competing.
So like a fire
Yep.
ice kind of thing.
yeah.
Yep.
And then, I mean, I like that color because it's very bright, and I wanted it to be noticeable because, I mean, when you drive up, that's a cool car and it's noticeable, but I mean, it's alpha. Like,
Sure.
you don't see them up
You don't see
close
alphas
ever
wrapped like that.
because it's a depreciating vehicle. No one's going to buy it if it's going to depreciate in
Well,
half when you drive it off.
You
the
don't see
lot.
them a lot. You know what I
No.
mean? You just don't see them.
Until you buy one.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
yeah.
then you see them all over the
Everywhere.
place. I'm like, oh my God.
And the dealerships are going out of business anyway.
Got
Yeah.
it.
The market's not here.
Got it.
But I needed something that livened it up. And then we did that. And then the last final touch was the ghosting of the hexagons.
Mm.
But RapsCon 2022 really set that design, the second version, into motion, which was the KPMF copper metallic overlaminate.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I saw that on the
Tesla.
Tesla that they did. in the
Glarb
hexagon
did it.
shapes from Glarb. That was amazing. And I was like, all right, that's what I want.
Shout out Glarp too, by
Yep,
the way.
shout out Glarp.
Man, talk about a designer. He's crushing it right now.
Yes.
Like he's kind of the guy right now.
He
Yep.
is.
I just sent him one of our other installers to him too.
Yeah,
So hopefully he comes out with a dope one. For that. And it's a religious one.
that's
but
cool.
it's going to be something different.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
that's exciting. So you're at RapsCon.
Um,
You talk with Troy a little bit and get some.
Yeah, we didn't know that at first who they were because I mean I wasn't on social media that much. I was always working.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not looking up people and doing things.
We were emailing at that point. We didn't have numbers yet. Oh, no, we had his number going into RapsCon, but
You say that, but
we were-
you're active on social now. I mean, you're doing a lot. I mean, I see you're doing
Oh,
lives
yeah.
pretty regular. You're posting.
Yes.
You
it's
know.
the only way to get up.
Yeah.
It's the
So-
only way.
I started off my Instagram page with like 5,000, and then like I dedicated in the first couple of years to do the follow unfollow tactic, and got to over 10. Then I started getting paid for some of the reels, but people wanted to see color change. After RapsCon, I kind of entered into, all right, I'm losing business in this environment that I'm at because everyone's starting to rap, and the value of rap diminished in my area.
In Fayetteville.
Yes.
We had a lot of people start up.
So
a
when we all
lot.
start, not all, some of us start 15 to 18, right? I mean, I started at 18 and then went up there, but my progression was a lot faster than most people
Yeah.
would think, to the point that we were up at 26, 28, and then we finally got to 32.
Trying to get up to that industry standard,
And
because
that's where we
if
got
we
caught.
diminish that, then we're just no good. Like we're no better than anybody else.
As soon as we hit 32, the next year rolled around and just no
Nothing.
one wanted to pay the prices.
Hmm.
And it's because everyone was doing it for,
Like 1,200.
yeah, it's super cheap.
Chrome wraps 1,200. I'm like, are you making money?
So, why do you think that is? Was there a local distributor that was willing to sell them film? Was it just
They didn't need the money.
Oh, it was
So they
more
were
of a
making
hobby.
enough off of it. Yes,
Got
and
it.
it was hobby,
It wasn't.
DIY.
It wasn't a business. It wasn't something that
They were doing on
they
the
were going to
side.
put
This is in
lifelong into.
2022.
Yes.
2022. And so, man, that's crazy that there was just all of a sudden a boom in your space. And
Yeah, up until then it was fine. And then, because we went one car garage, right?
Mhm.
And then we hooked up with another detail company and we moved into that shop. So it was like a 6-bay shop and it was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We redid the floor,
Mm.
got my plotter, or tried to. That didn't really work, pan out.
Sold the
However-
plotter next year.
But we made the jump to go into professional
Yes.
building commercial space, and then we got hooked up with a 2-car garage and then managed that, and that was into 2022, I think.
Yeah. It was going into 2023.
And then that's where we went back into garage, but it was
we
two
turned
car
it
garage.
into our professional space.
it's like an
so-
oversized 2-car garage, so I fit one car.
That's what you're in
there.
now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've
I
seen
can
videos.
I can swing bumpers if I want.
Yeah.
I got enough room as long as I keep it clean and manage the humidity in there. It's a perfect environment.
It's probably the cleanest and nicest.
that we've been to.
Like it
Granted.
for garage wise, and I know that like that is looked down upon somewhat. Like, oh, you're in a garage, but in the same sense, everybody around town respects us enough. Hey, you need a spot to do that big car? Bring it here. Bring it here. We got you. Don't worry about it.
We've got a network.
Like we have networked ourselves very well to the point of, we're not just in a garage, we're contracting.
Mobile.
I'm traveling, over to, Las Vegas and California rapping for people. He's traveling all the way, from here to Washington State. Like we're not just in a garage. That's home base.
And that the traveling stuff started with Troy
Yes.
or with Capital rather.
Yeah. So
Was he or Capital was one of the first places that you contracted at?
yes,
Yeah.
for commercial wise, that was my first branch out to it. Is all right. I'm dead in the water on color change. Here are my options, and it was like weighing it. It was like, well, what's going to make me money? And it was all right. Well, now I got to open my techniques. I need to open up my horizon, go into something different. And I had called up Troy. I was like,
I'm ready.
I'm
much.
either going back to aviation, I said, and I'm making this very huge statement. I'm either going back to aviation where I know I can make money, or you got to keep me in this industry. And he's like, I got you. Come up here. And I was like, okay, I'll give you a chance. And we've been working it, and it's great that now that I've been able to do that, I've learned
So much
the
in a
commercial
year.
aspect without even having to go to all these courses, but I can do it fine. I can go into these courses, and I'm sure I can get a cert. But most of it is, here's a tip here. Don't do that. Do this. It's not, here, this is how you do it. You kind of get thrown to the wolves real quick.
So,
Yeah.
so now that you've kind of got a little bit of both experiences, right? Like you started on your own color change. You're watching some videos online. You're picking up some little self-taught techniques, and then now you're stepping into the commercial world and you're working with a shop. What do you think? Because I'm hoping that younger guys are watching this. People that are interested, and like if you were going to go back and do it again, how do you think that you would have preferred to do it? Do you think you would have said, "Hey, stick with the color change stuff coming in," or do you think going to work for a shop, is more beneficial?
In our environment, color change all day.
Yeah.
Really?
I can make,
Oh yeah.
personally, right, my bank account, I can make more money with my hands doing what I can. However, a shop can only pay me so much that they're
Yeah.
allowed to pay me.
Sure.
I know my worth, and that's not what they can pay me, but I'm going to make it so they feel like they need to pay me that.
Sure.
But also making a name for ourselves versus we're with this company.
Sure.
Having an established, platform for both of us going into this and then continuing,
golly,
it makes a difference.
Wasn't it hard? I mean, wasn't it hard starting off?
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, it would have been much easier for you guys just to go fall into a shop and go to
yeah.
work and learn.
And that was
But
the
we
hard
wouldn't
part. 'cause
we
I
wouldn't
called.
be who we are now and
Yeah.
what we know now and the knowledge that we have, the things that we've had to go through owning a business that I don't want to go through that in 10 years. I'll
Yeah,
go
if
through it
I'm-
the first 5
Do
and
you,
get it over
do you
with.
think it helps you respect the guys like Troy and
Absolutely.
Keone out there?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
seeing that they have that many years and they've gone through it since
Oh
the
my gosh,
beginning,
yes.
it's definitely something to look up to, of course.
Like I call Troy Rap Dad. Like that's my other dad. That's Rap Dad.
But I also don't want to go through all those tributes and trials to wait 20 years to be where I want to be.
Sure.
I think I can get there a little bit quicker.
Like I told him, like we wanted 10 years and 5. I want to be where you took too long to get to right
Here
now.
and there, of course, because, capital is one thing. When you have,
We push ourselves and push ourselves. Like if we're sitting down doing nothing, I'm like, and he's like, I gotta do something. I'm like, we ain't got nothing to rap right now. What do I do right now? And just sitting here looking at my hands like Ricky Bobby on Talladega Nights, just like I don't know what to do with these things.
So what do you do in those times? So, I mean, what's your go-to? Are you resorting to social media, trying to boost your?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's always a thing. Always push social media. He always pushes more of the rap side. I push raps and how quirky and ridiculous I am because I'm not just all raps. I'm all ridiculous as well.
Sure. Well, I mean, like you're a mom too. I mean, that's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Dana, my wife, there was years where she went through some stuff where it was like she felt like she wasn't bringing enough to the table, and I'm like,
Yep.
hey, like you're a mom, like that's like the most important job in the world.
it's hard. And I mean, you're
That's how I was last
from
summer.
morning to night.
I took off last summer, and I was like, I'm gonna focus more when me and the kids are gonna do stuff all summer, like that I need to right now. Like they need mom right now, and he went off and started traveling more all last summer, and I feel like that was very emotional. That was very hard for me. Because as much as I enjoy being around my kids, I love my children. I love them so much, but that gave me purpose. My kids are always my purpose, but that right there, I've always loved working on cars. I've always loved doing that. So that right there, I was just like, I can't do this. I need to do something. Like we got to get cars back in the garage. You got to stop. You got to stop traveling. Like I need something to do. Like this is killing me not doing what I love right now.
Well, I've seen you make posts before where, I mean, Mike's on the road and he's doing stuff and you're at home rapping.
Oh, yes.
Like you're not.
I run the shop whenever he's gone.
Yeah.
Anything that we have come in, I am hands-on first.
Yeah, that's cool.
I disassemble, I deep clean, I lay about 75% of the car, and I always make sure that I leave the bumpers for me and him to do together. Not that I can't do them. It's just four hands are better than two
For sure.
with me. And, you know, it's good content of us working on it together. That gives him content with the vehicle as well. You know, there's his color change content where, you know, no one wants to see the commercial side of things. So that gives him that extra. But whenever he's gone, that is, I'm running it. And I love it. Like, I'll be like, hey, I got all of this done today. I already disassembled the car. It's ready to go. My panels are cut. Like, I enjoy running that by myself a lot. Cool. It gives me my little high of the day. I'm like,
when we first started, everything was like 3-4 days. I was working hard to make sure I was making the timelines of the industry, even though I was at year 2. You shouldn't have been doing that at year 2. But the thing is, I tried to strive to be that I was always professional.
Yes.
Even though I was faking it till I make it, but I was doing it with a purpose and a drive.
Yeah.
Once I started traveling, it was kind of like now we need to split ourselves, make it a team thing because we've been together this whole time now. Anything that's not out of the normal, she's going to tackle with ease. With me traveling, it's just, I tell her, hey, there's a vehicle this week. Make sure that you're ready Monday to break it down. I'll let you know when the car comes
if I haven't already done the vehicle, if it's a new one I haven't, taken apart yet, spend my entire Sunday getting all my videos ready. I watch them for a few hours. That's it. I don't need them the next day. I already memorized it.
Yeah, you're ready to rock.
I was good. I'm always good to go. Like, I can take apart a Dodge in my sleep, a BMW in my sleep at this point. I never want to take apart, what was it that I had to do everything? The brand new Ford. I never want to take apart a driver door in that ever again.
Yeah.
That was not fun for me.
New truck or something? Or
Yeah. Newer truck. Oh my gosh. That was like a 30-minute process just to get the handle out.
I mean, that's like that with all Dodges too.
Yeah, they can be a pain.
Drop a damn.
But I like being able to do that. Like, I set up my little videos sometimes to show me disassembling things, because you don't see females disassembling things. You don't see those videos being put out there. Sure. And I enjoy that. I'm like, this is how you do this real quick. You see this? See it? Okay, there you go.
So you were saying that in 5 years you wanted to be where what would take a normal progression of 10 years.
Yeah.
What does that look like? What does 5 years look like? Because I feel like we're about caught up, right? So you're working with capital, you're out doing some commercial stuff, and you're working together and just trying to grow your business, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think it looks like? What's 5 years? Because you're at the 5-year mark now. Do you feel like what that goal that you were reaching for? Do you feel like you're there?
Knowledge wise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're always focused on, is making sure that our knowledge is at the veterans.
That and always making, like, a lot of people at 5 years don't have, like, everybody always tries to have a really good customer relationship and customer service and all of that stuff. That is something that we've had constantly. And having, like, that good standpoint, a good, like, standpoint with people around us, being known as well as we are at 5 years, that's a lot. We're picking up contracts with counties.
I'm not calling anybody else that's been doing it for 5 years. I'm not. I mean, it's nothing against anybody new, but there's no reason for me to. We've got such a good network, and we've got good installers. There's no reason for me to call them. So.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is,
not that I'm anything special, and I don't mean that like I'm just saying like I'm just not. We're not.
So I've been I guess accused of being arrogant, right? And that was probably year 3 into 4.
Yeah.
By another shop, and it wasn't arrogance. He was viewing it as arrogance. It was more of, I've been in the military background. I know what's right. I know what should happen, and whether it's how that person runs their shop or not, that's fine. It was just.
So you were going in and contracting for somebody?
Yeah. And the way that my views came across weren't really the greatest, but I learned my lessons myself, and I was still in the same realm that I was in.
So how do you handle that? How do you communicate that? I mean, essentially,
just do what they want.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I got to make them happy. It's not my car; it's their car that they have to deal with the client
later.
That's a
big pill to swallow, though, man. I know how tough that is.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to start any issues because, again, networking is big.
That is.
And everyone's got their own opinions that cross.
For sure.
And
But it's also your demeanor. Your
Yes.
demeanor is very, he's dry, he's blunt, and he's honest. And
I
that's
stay to
all the time.
myself,
This is,
like-
that's who he is. That is very much so. And a lot of people, like even myself sometimes, I can say that. I've been married long enough sometimes. Yeah, I'm just like, why you gotta be like that? God.
But so I've been accused of being arrogant, and it's more of I've seen a lot of things and I've heard a lot of things that, like, we went to SEMA and people were in business for 10 years and they're looking at us at 3 and they're like, we've already been bankrupt 2.5 times,
Yeah.
3 times. And I'm just like,
Why?
what'd you do wrong? Like, why are you asking me how I'm not bankrupt?
Yeah.
Like, what'd you do wrong?
That was at RapsCon. That was
Yeah.
at RapsCon. We all went out to dinner.
And I was just like, and hearing people, they're like, you're at this many years and you're doing it okay. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm not
I don't
want
want
to
to do bad.
So I mean, there's a statistic, and most people, I mean, you can look it up. The Better Business Bureau puts out a thing every year, and you can see how many businesses went in and how many businesses went out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they say it's like a 93% chance that you're going to make it the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you always hear is
Yeah.
those first 5 are
7%
Yeah.
chance of success over 5 years.
And I think the difference is our business isn't our business. My hands are my
Yeah.
business.
Sure.
Like that, this is what does it all. This and this. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. Is if these things and this right here can all do it together, perfect every
So,
time.
I wouldn't be doing my my job over here, right? I can hear the trying to think of Brett's last name. I think it's Brett Knox. Is that right? I'm sure you guys have seen him on like the groups and stuff, but like him and John Doover and like those type people, right?
Yeah.
They get into that like business and process and procedure and growth, and you've got to, you know,
Oh, yeah,
you can't be you the business. It's got to be, you know, you've got to put these things in place. So I mean, as you're looking forward, is that something that you're thinking about? I mean, is that on your radar to where? Because I hear you, and I don't know how that feels like, but the minute that you become solely reliant on that, you know, like does that ever worry you?
So that's our position at the current moment. It's, if I had an avenue outside of it, I'd make it. It's just you have to have capital, or at least a way of making capital to make your process. I've never been into the position yet.
Gotcha.
I'm still making sure that I'm okay on all fronts, and it's not the point of me going to get overhead
Gotcha.
and build a brand that's bigger than myself.
Sure.
I feel like I could get there, but it's not the right time for me.
Is it part of your next 5 years? You think that's
I'd love to. Like, if, in all reals of things, I got friends, they're buddies, of course, we're all young, but it's possible to create an environment, a workplace that would be successful.
Yes.
And of course, there would be trials.
I mean, we've been asked to be a part of many businesses to help them grow, help us grow,
But I mean, that's all
get us
well
out
and
of our
good.
garage. But I mean,
They didn't know
you'll
what
get
they were
there.
getting. They didn't know what they were saying, and we
Yeah.
already knew that it wasn't. You have highs and lows. There's no point on me trying to go to a low when I'm already trying to fight my current market.
Sure.
So my current market will force me out, which is our next move would then open up those opportunities.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that when you're dealing with an oversaturated market, you would come up with some different strategies on how to combat that. Correct?
Yeah.
So one of them was traveling.
Yes.
You've done some training and stuff. How's that gone?
So the traveling, it first started where a shop out in Maryland needed some assistance because their regulars weren't available. And they kind of put a chance on to me because of the word of Troy. And I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if Troy doesn't do anything else, he talks.
yeah,
He's gonna get the word out there.
he's like, I got this installer.
Yes.
Like, he can do it for you. So it was just mainly the first traveling out was kind of like a touch base. Let's see how it goes. Of course, being mobile is never fun, but you can make it work. It's just I did a couple jobs up there and then hit up a buddy, and he was like, man, I need some help with these fleets. Come out to Washington. And I was like, all right, sweet. That'd be cool. I'd love to do that. Went out there for a week or two. I think it was a week. And that was a good experience. It was good to network, be able to be somewhere I haven't been.
Yeah.
Do you like that space? Do you like the commercial, the fleet, the travel?
Yes and no.
Sure.
I will always be color change.
Yeah.
So if I had to say anything about myself, it's going to be my speed.
Mhm.
No one else says it, other than like, I know if you're a commercial guy, you're a veteran, you can get stuff done fast. I take more my time, and it's noticeable because I'm a color change guy.
Sure.
Details matter 24/7.
So if I go into the commercial aspect, of course, that's probably going to consume what I'm doing because there is such a large market. You can branch out to there. It's just depending on your environment, who's got the pull in the environment, and I guess kind of go from there. You can't really use like last podcast, Jim and Justin. They're right next to each other, so like
6 miles, I heard.
yeah,
6
Jeez.
miles apart.
But they're in completely different aspects.
Yes.
So it's
Yep.
just
Well, yeah, it's funny, man. Like Jim does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Jim's a powerhouse.
And that's the thing is everyone knows him. Even me, it's like when I first started, I know who all the veterans are, but then getting to be able to network and then
Yep. Getting to know them.
It's tough.
at least know
It's-
about them and
yeah.
then figure out where they are.
Yep.
It's good to see.
So Justin Pate's had a couple really good conversations with me. And when Justin comes to me and he gets like this stern look about him and he's like looking at me and he's like, you can hear it in his voice. It's like, he did it at RapsCon when we were doing the Tuckers, we're launching them, and he pulls me aside and he starts giving me this talk. And like, I was like, no, man, I'm doing the best I could almost feel like, just hold on, So it's like, I caught myself doing it. I'm like, well, no, I mean, we're fine. Like everything's good. I hear you. But it's intimidating. You know what I mean? Like no matter like,
Yeah.
trying to make the right decisions at the right times and,
Yep.
and working with the right people, networking with the right people. It's definitely, it's a challenge. And,
Because like at the end of the day, I could make something just myself. You know how hard that is to not network and not know people. And then, I learned the things that I learn now that put me on another level, and that just helps my technique.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
helps progress me.
you brought up Justin Norton. Justin was in a unique situation, man. And that situation does not happen very often.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think is it's a challenge when you hit a home run like that to be
Yep.
humble.
And then keep striding.
You know what I mean? And
Continue to
keep
be the person that you are.
right.
But that's the reason why he got into that position. He was who he was
Yep.
authentically
Yeah.
with each person that just fell into his lap.
Yeah, I think that was
He was
probably
him.
the best part of that podcast was it was authentic.
Exactly.
This
that
is
was him.
This
that
is him,
That
right?
was him.
Yeah. And he brought it all to the table. Like
Absolutely.
he was comfortable in his own skin. It was a good opportunity because, and I said it in the podcast, like when we were out at SEMA, like I felt some type of way about him. I'm not gonna lie, that he's a lot, and I try to be that guy that's open minded and friendly, and you know what I mean. And I would.
But
be
it was intriguing.
Oh.
You're like, I'm interested.
at the time I was pissed. That's what I was. I was like, who the fuck is this guy, man?
But you don't know anyone until you actually really
Get to
develop
know him.
and like get behind the wall. It's just
Yeah.
And I'm very rarely like that, like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? But my wife put me in check quick, and she was like, "Dude, get to know him. Like, get over yourself."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it's important. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it really is. Like I enjoyed it. It was great. It was a great episode. It was cool.
It was.
It was cool to get to know him. It was exciting. So the training. So I wanted to ask you about training. So I've seen you posted a few times about training. How's the trainings going?
So our rap trainings you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all started that, and I know we've talked about it just briefly. But since my area is overpopulated at this point, and I keep seeing raps that come out subpar, I've been there. I know how to do that, but I've learned from my mistakes, and I don't allow the customer to, I guess, not get a return on their investment of satisfaction on the rap. It's sad to see that the market price has been lowered in a certain area that now opening up these trainings, I can separate myself a little bit more and say that I do know what I'm talking about. And because come across a lot of people that I network with that have been wrapping a while, and I see their quality of work, and I kind of see how mine looks, and it's just like I have a lot to learn, and they've been so much further than me, but why does my stuff look like this and their stuff doesn't? So the wrap stuff is more of a personal training. I will take beginners up to what I can teach, which is
Our last
pretty
one was
good
a very
amount.
large beginner class. Our last one was. We only had one veteran. Well, not really veteran, but she's been doing it for a bit.
Yeah, mainly they've been beginners,
Yeah.
It's pretty bold to go out and offer training 5 years in.
and that is what
Yeah.
we knew coming into it.
Yes.
Sure.
We always talk about how this could go. It's going to go one of two ways.
I think it's
That's all you got. So if
Well,
you don't,
I think it was smart because you've seen a problem, right?
yes.
And you said, "Hey, what are we going to do?" And you said it earlier. It's staying focused and picking your lane and staying in it,
Mm-hmm.
and really driving that home. And I don't know that most people would have had the confidence to be able to say, "Hey, look, let's there's a hole in this market, right? They're draining us. They're killing us on
Let
that.
us help you be better.
Let us help you."
Let us help you get to industry standards so
Yep.
we're all making money.
Yep.
So we're all at the same place.
That's the thing is, I have a little bit more techniques that I feel that I could teach people, and
Yeah.
I do it when I go up to Capital Wraps with some of the installers that we work with. It's like I see their stuff, and I'm like, look, if you think about this more from a color change stuff, you don't know how to pull that right. You need to pull it this way. Make sure that it goes this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of boosted me into going, well, if I can say that I offer classes, it's going to create a type of rift in everything, because once I advertise it and I say that I have no training, there's going to be that doubt.
There's no going back on us.
Like
saying it.
why do you feel like you can train? Why
Yeah.
do you think that you can be teaching people the right way to do things if you're only at 5 years, you haven't done any training, you don't know what's supposed to be taught? I'm teaching the film characteristics. I'm teaching you how to understand what the film is and everything else, just not structured. Because I'll get to that point. It's just right now, the first 3 have been testers. I want to see if I have traction. I want to see
Yeah.
if I'm able to.
Like our last
Pull in a
one
crowd.
was a good one. I was able to be more a part of this last one that we did. And I told him, I was like, we need to, like, we have a decent amount of material storage. So I was like, I'm bringing every single material out there that we have. I got Tech Rep, we have TinyBot, brought in KPMF, Oracle, Hexus. Like, I was like, here, pick one that you want to touch. This one's a lot more tackier than this one. I want you to feel all of these different materials. I want you to understand this before you touch it.
So there's a big difference between working with somebody and training with somebody. How do you guys feel like you train together? Do you bounce off well together? Do you work?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we work well. We have 2 different styles, of course, because she's short.
I would have never guessed.
She installs completely different than I do,
Yes.
actually.
Okay.
Of course, she's got my tips.
Oh, I thought you meant more of your personality types. I thought
That
as
too.
far as like training, I was like, no, really? I would have never.
No,
You guys are
it's-
the same person.
So, is she, like last class, there was a female. It's great for that because, again, I can't teach them how to get small.
Get big. They are
yeah.
already small.
Sorry, wrong way to get big.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, sometimes you got to overcome these tack issues
Sure.
and
Yeah.
stuff, and that's not easy.
Yeah, I feel it every time I go to teach somebody front bumpers. You know, and I'm sure you're the same way,
you
right?
gotta hold that thing
you can
way out
you
there.
can have a bumper pole and start in the center and heat and just take your time
Yep.
and work it around. Whereas somebody that's their arms are shorter, it's
It's so hard.
That's the thing is I got several videos on there, and that's why I try to use that towards my wrapping. Is if I can wrap this and make it look like all these other guys and make it look easy, I think I can teach a couple people
Yeah.
how to make their life easier.
so there's a couple that train for 3M, Steve and Jen Carney from Carbon Wraps. Have you guys ever heard?
I've heard of carbon wraps.
Yeah. So they were at WrapsCon that year. They were both judges at the competition. Probably 2 of the nicest people you'll ever
Yeah.
meet in your life. I mean, they are fantastic, and they are like in love.
Yeah.
Like it is head over heels. Like it really is cool. It's Dana's not like she's not a PDA person. Like I have a hard time getting her to hold my hand in public. You know what I mean? So when you see them two and they're hugging and they're kissing, it's like, oh, it's just sweet. It's really
Yeah.
cool. But they bring something to training That's, you know, when they go out and they do a lot of classes together, and the fact
Yeah.
that they can work together and they're kind of a package deal. And I think it's really helped position them well. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's
Yep.
been a huge advantage that, you know, if I go out to do a training, you know, maybe I have to find somebody to come help me, or, you know, so having that second person there, I think, you know, moving forward, if you guys do consider something, you know, working with brands and stuff,
Absolutely.
I think the package deal, I think it could be really beneficial for you. I think.
Yeah, the come up was mainly just I knew I wasn't gonna be able to get the. I guess let's just say I don't got 2,500 to go to Avery's class.
Mhm.
Is it worth it? I know it is,
Yeah.
and is it gonna help me? Of course. Am I gonna pass?
Is Avery's 2,500, Josh?
Find that out.
Is it? Oh, you
They
do know?
they upped the price. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It used to be like a year ago. It was down.
Well, I want to say maybe the training is 1,500 and then the test is another
Yeah.
1,000 or something like
I
that.
think it's like 700 for the test.
Is
Because I
it?
thought
Okay.
about doing just the test,
Mhm.
but at the same time, again, certifications. What am I going to use a certification for in my lane?
Well, Mike, I'm glad you asked. I can give you a quick little rundown
All right.
on what 3M has to offer. No.
You're
Now,
like, yes.
I will say that I haven't always been a 3M authorized trainer. There was a
Of course.
time that I was just a regular old installer, just out here chipping away.
You know, that's so nice.
But I went to 3M. I went to Lowen. I went out to Lowen, and at the time, I didn't have any money. I'd invested everything into equipment,
Yeah.
into a storefront, and I was scared, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do.
Yep.
I really didn't. We ran a poker house out of the back and sold moonshine and traded, and
Look, bootleg it out.
you know, like, I mean, we did everything that we
Pays
possibly
bills.
we had to do. Like, I mean,
Yep.
it was just so, and you know, it was cool. But then it was like one day I woke up. It was right around the time that me and Dana started dating. It was like, I got to grow up. I really, like, if we're, like, I want her to take me serious. So I got to be, so I cleaned all the back out, you know, pushed all the guys out and said, we're done, swept and cleaned up. And then it was like, well, you know, how am I going to pay these bills? And I got freaked out, and I was working with I was doing some moonlighting for a guy, and he was bragging about doing installs for Lowen. And I was like, well, I can do that, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's a whole nother story. But I went to Lowen and went through their program and got my authorization, or got my certification. And I could talk about that for hours. Like, that, just that whole story is crazy. But I won't drag it all out. But so I went to Lowen. I took their test. I picked Lowen because of the work. I knew that I could get work from Lowen, and it's been the best return on investment that I've ever done.
Oh yeah, and I can definitely understand
Hands
that.
down.
Sure.
And I've got plenty of other certifications, and I loved doing them all. But I know it's hard. It's hard for me to even say it sitting here wearing a 3M shirt. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like the salesman trying to convince you, but I promise,
Yeah.
you know, from installer to installer, it
Absolutely, though.
really does make a big difference.
And that's what I see is, I mean, everyone suggests that, and I've looked at the School of Rap. I mean, it's local. Lowen.
And if you're going to consider coming and taking a class,
At the
Yeah.
School of Rap.
you can find the dates on WrapOn.com. No, I'm just kidding.
So, of course, I would do that. But at the end of the day, my more beneficial certification will be PPF.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I already know how to do dry apply. I know how to do wet apply.
That's why
Where-
you're out fixing everything.
Where do you think that's gonna? Do you think that the new dry apply PPF is gonna be the game? Do you think that's gonna be a big? That's a big.
Once they develop it better,
Yeah.
Yeah. Even with the price point.
it will not replace vinyl.
Okay.
I do not think that, because again, you have to have a specific clientele, and as my
Yes.
environment shows, they don't even want to pay for a solid color change. I just did some weed man fixes, and the guy came up, he's like, yo, how much to wrap this Mustang? And I was like, we start at 2,800, and I'm super upfront because that's where I had to drop my price to,
Mhm.
and to even be competitive, and people don't even want to pay that.
Yeah, because you're gonna get all kinds of shit in the comments.
Oh yeah, they're
about
gonna be
people.
like, I know.
$2,800. What are you
But
doing?
at the end of the day,
I don't want to charge that much.
I
I'd like to
upsell-
charge more.
I upsell my ceramic. I upsell everything else that I
Sure.
can.
Yes. Always
Um,
push a ceramic. We
But
always
the thing is,
do.
I'm not going to throw out a 32 and still get ghosted when I throw out a 28 and still get ghosted.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to know your customer, right? Like at the end of the day, that's what it boils
And that's
down
the thing.
to.
It's like every now and then I get a customer that's like, damn, that's cheap. And I'm like,
I know fantastic installers that are sitting around and they're not doing anything.
yeah.
And they'll call and they'll say, Scott, man, I don't understand. I'm like, dude, where's your price at?
Yep.
Know your customer.
Yep. And
You
it
know?
sucks because
You
at
have
the
to
end of the
figure
day,
out how to appeal to everybody
Sure.
differently.
my clientele, like when I first got bid at 2,400, that's probably where my environment should be at.
Yeah.
But I'm not making money off of that. And I'm not making money where I'm at.
Can you drop your standard?
No.
Yeah.
Mentally, I can't.
I get it. I mean,
If I'm trying to work for you guys, work for all these other companies that I'm showing
I
that
need-
get me out of my
Yeah.
environment,
I need you to never drop your standard. If
And
you're
I
that's the
need to
thing.
never drop my
As soon as
I need to
soon
get
as you
better.
drop your standard, you're why did you get into this in the first place?
sure.
If you drop your standard, you're letting yourself go. Like your standard should always get higher. You should always expect more out of yourself. Always. If it's something you love and you want to make a life out of it, set your standard even higher.
Yep. And actually, just let you continue. I didn't know where that was going to follow.
Well, that was good. No, I like that. I mean, it sounds kind of like an obvious question, right? But there's times that you run into situations where it's like, hey, I gotta make a living, and it sounds like that. Thankfully, you hadn't been pressed up against the wall too hard
No.
like that, which is good.
No, it's just the
Go
last.
through like normal things though. Normal stuff you go through a business that you should go through.
Sure.
You should always.
And
There should
we
be
saw
hard
it
times.
coming. It wasn't a shock.
Yeah.
It was, we raised our prices and then we saw a dwindling of interests, and then the price just dropped immensely. Like when I went to that reminting, when my buddy can do it for like $1,500, I was like, well, you're gonna pay $2,800 or more for
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And
So PPF, you were saying that you think that's you want to start implementing that into your offerings. You want to
as a individual, it'd be nice because I know that's a bigger market and it's something solid to have underneath your belt.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Always add more.
Are you leaning towards one film or another? Have you messed with any? I mean, do you have any experience with PPF?
Yeah, I mean, I've mainly only used Hexus because
Gotcha.
of capital wraps, and even when I went out to the ISA Wrap Institute
Yeah.
event,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that was Hexus as well.
Yep.
And it was the same thing. So obviously, I'm a color change guy.
Yeah.
I want to do stack, but there's some expensive prices, and my clientele is not there.
Nope.
My
Gotcha.
environment, I can't sell that. So again, PPF isn't a market for me. There's a lot of people in my area that do it, and all you're getting is full frontal packages.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of companies, a lot of these manufacturers are starting to do like a good, better, best.
Yes.
Right. That seems to be more common. I think Flexi might have actually been the first one that I actually seen do it on their clear stuff. Like, hey, look, that we've got stuff that's more affordable, and then we have like a mid range. I think it was Flexi. It might not have been, but
I know they dove into that. I mean, they're a PPF company. It's
Yeah.
just each one's going to have their good, better, best, and even Hexus has theirs. Like,
Do they?
I'm pretty sure they have a max
Gotcha.
version that's like 10 mil or something.
we use it a little bit here and there. 3M's went through some waves of.
Yeah, and like Metro sells Avery.
Gotcha.
And a couple others, but mainly I haven't dove into it just because I don't have the cars to practice on. I don't, it's not my market.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if it's always color change, I kind of stay to that. And now it's just traveling.
I've heard that Hexus's program, their test and their class and everything is super beneficial, and like I've heard it's really hard. Their test is really hard. Like I've heard some heavy hitters went down there and failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Troy went down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard the same thing.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Yeah. He said the class was good though. Like the
Yes.
environment's
Yeah.
clean, and I've talked to V several times. V's a super nice guy, and he's down to earth. I don't know what his position is down there, but I think he pretty much runs the show. I mean, but he's a stand up guy. I mean, he's really cool. I like their program, and I like the fact that it seems like the industry has really kind of put them up on a pedestal as far as like holding people accountable.
Yep.
they've got a couple of I'm trying to think of their names. Couple of really good instructors down there that do a really good job. Kevin, I think, is one of them, and Marcelo or Marcio. I can't remember. Damn, I'm drawing a blank. That's so funny. Either way, they just do a great job.
Yep.
Like they're just good instructors, and they don't drop their standard. So when we were at SEMA last year, the first day that we were there, Javier won RapsCon last year. Smoked us. Wasn't even close.
I'm sure.
It was ridiculous. It was like he came. It was a whole ordeal, right? I mean, we filmed everything full production. I mean, we were super excited about posting everything, and then it was just like the end of it did not end the way we.
You came in there, you're like, I got this, and nope.
It's a whole story. I don't have I ever told you.
No.
Yeah, it was a thing. So, we led the entire time, and then it came down to it. Erica, I'm gonna mess up her last name, but Erica and Chris. Erica Graves, is that right? Yeah. Erica Graves, or Gar.
I think that's it. I don't know how you.
Yeah, either way, Erica,
Exactly.
Rap Kitty.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to say.
Yeah, and her partner Chris. I think it was
Yes.
Chris.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
I
so
know what you're talking about.
so last day they get announced the winners. They're presented all the stuff, and it was like, okay, this sucks. This is a tough beat. We did finish right ahead of Jim Miller, which was kind of cool. Finished
Just
second.
that confidence boost, just like
It was like we really wanted to win. We done everything
but you gotta be humble.
right.
Yeah.
We got humbled quick. Because like I said, I felt like we had done everything that we possibly could.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, I was, there were judges that were judging Jim's stuff, and they're not looking, right? They're just feeling the bottom of it and talking. Oh, Jim, yeah, man, yeah, cool. I'm like, hey, get down there, check that. Don't quit doing that. Y'all got down there with a flashlight and check my shit. Check his shit.
Yep.
They're
You're like, don't be too sad on this,
Right.
man. We're all on the same team.
They held me accountable for everything. Like, y'all better hold him accountable, or I'm getting down there and looking. So they announced Eric and Chris as the winners. And I was like, okay. So then we get pulled, or me and Josh go over to the Pro Series booth, and we're talking with Austin, and it was cool, And then Adam Sumner comes up, and he's like, hey man, you gotta come grab your stuff and come back down to where the award ceremony was held. We got some bad news, and it felt like somebody died. I swear it did. It was an awful feeling. And so we go back down there, and like, there's a whole big circle, and they're screaming and crying and yelling, and it's like, what in the hell's going on? Like, this is not good. Like, this is freaking me out a little bit. And Starla Miller, Jim's wife, was there, and she's just bawling. And Jen Carney, I mentioned her, Steve's wife. She's like, looks very upset and confused, and like, I'm like, what is going on? This is bad. And I don't do well with women crying. It's just not, I pretty much just shut down. I'm just like, whatever makes that stop. I'm out.
Right there. And I cry a lot.
So they miscounted the votes or the scores. They miscounted the scores, and Javier and his partner won by a landslide. Like, wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Damn. Yep.
Like, way out there ahead of everybody. So we had to, and it was tough, man. It was really tough for Chris and Erica because they won a lot of awards, and like, I don't know how much the value was, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
Of course.
It was tough, dude.
And that's the environment it's supposed to be in too. But when you have a lot of competitors that are
it was
good,
tough. And I almost felt bad for Javier too, because it's like they had to go through all that to get their win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And then they had to go and take it, and it's just like,
exactly. Yeah. It was awful. It was a terrible thing. So it was like we just didn't share the rest of it. It was like, how do we?
yeah.
Like, we couldn't. It just didn't feel right. And
Don't rub salt in the wound.
no, just leave it alone. And
Yeah.
so we moved on. But it was Javier. He's a talent. He really
yes.
is. He
Very professional man, too.
and talk about humble
Yes.
and kind. He's a good dude. But it was an interesting. I can't even remember why I brought it up. Why I brought up RapsCon.
Saw him at SEMA.
Who?
Javier. Is that what you said?
I don't know.
no,
I don't remember.
Did you just feel like telling that story?
No. I don't
Yeah.
think so. There was a point.
There was.
That's funny as hell. Either way, since we're on the subject of Javier, what we haven't talked about at all is the competition car,
Competition.
right?
That was fun.
Yeah, you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad that I was a part of it.
Yeah. It was fun to bring
I think it's awesome that you guys were in it. I think it's awesome that you guys made it to the finals. I think that shows a lot.
But that's kind of why I made the post that I did. Not everybody knows how long we've been doing this.
Okay,
Because of the way we present ourselves.
sure.
And I was like, should I? No, but I should, because we are the underdogs. We are pushing to come up in an environment where technically we don't belong. We don't belong, but we do in a sense.
Do you say that just because of the time frame?
That, and then not having certifications, not having that extra that I'm sure everybody else has, and still being able to produce that. I mean, that wrap was amazing, but we've had so many amazing wraps come from just our imaginations and just us being able to do it. And a lot of people won't push for that so quickly. But I was like, no, I need something cooler than the last one. I got to beat that last one. I got to beat the next one. I got to beat the one that we were talking about last week. We haven't even done it yet, and I already want to beat it. Like, we shouldn't have made it as far as we have, but it's because we've pushed ourselves to be great. I want to be great. I want to be good at this.
We are limited because of the area and our clientele, of course.
Yeah.
Because, like, you got ACW. You got their clientele.
Yeah.
And that's a different kind of beast.
It-
and you learn
it
how to wrap
is.
different kinds of things.
You sure do.
But
and
we
you're-
got our own, and it's limiting. But we put out the work to try
but
to
it's
make
kind
sure.
of in the same realm. We've had a lot of cash stuff. We've had a lot of marijuana stuff. Between that, a lot of gang stuff. Like with the people that have came to us, I wouldn't think that that they did what they did until they're like, yeah, man, here's like this $5,000 right here in cash. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah,
Understandable.
When I
Understandable.
first started, one of my best customers came from Fayetteville. He always paid in cash,
Yep.
and he wanted everything chrome.
Yep.
Everything.
And it's ridiculous. Like, okay.
And
But they're the best people to work with. Absolutely. They love how blunt and honest he is, and they respect that.
Sure.
They respect that a lot, because they'll be like, hey man, I want this. And Michael's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. I'm going to tell you what you want, and we're going to go over these colors, and I'm going to tell you that this is going to be what's going to work for what you want. And they're like, yeah, man, you do whatever the heck you want.
So have either of you thought about, like, I mean, okay, so let's talk about the design portion of it. How does that work for you guys? Because if you're not printing, are you designing? Are you?
We outsource everything. So since I started, I have a buddy, Chad. He's down in Lumberton, so it's about an hour away from us.
I've been to Pembroke a few times.
Yeah,
It's
so
about right there,
Yeah.
he's been rapping for about 10 years or so. So he's been doing it a lot longer.
Rap and designing.
But all commercial.
Got it. Okay.
He's been in the industry, got his own printer. And so normally he'd have me the designs done, and he produces pretty good stuff. I only have certain clientele in the color change that actually need designs, though.
Gotcha.
So it's like every now and then someone wants to pay printed money, and
Pay for a one of one. Pay for the ideas.
Well, so like, so when you're doing custom wraps like this, like the competition car, I mean, there's design elements there. Like that's a lot of that stuff was
it's
custom.
imagination.
Yes,
Is
that was we talked about it, and how like we're trying to represent this material.
So
Like I put on my thing, you can print all day. You can print on a wrap. That's cool. What can you make it do?
like this.
What are the possibilities?
Yep.
And that's what we wanted to show. We wanted to show
Josh,
the
can you pull up
many
a picture
different
of the competition car?
possibilities of what this material was capable of, what we were capable of, what we were willing to push ourselves to be angry throughout the process.
So I'll tell you one of the things that stood out to me, and it stood out to me a few of y'all's installs, was lineup, right? I mean,
Yes.
from panel to panel. right? So you get back towards like where the rear bumper, where the turbo lines up to.
That was our biggest thing. I was like, those turbos have to line up. That's the showpiece right there.
Of course. Every installer, when they looked at that car, that was the first thing that they saw. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I mean, that
and we'll dive into that too.
Sure, yeah.
That was not fun.
Like the amount of just
Well, tell me. I
laying,
want to hear it. Let's go.
all of the laying. I mean, the initial wrap itself, the printed part, like that was our easiest part.
Okay. And was that a blue? Did you start with a colored?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We started with the blue as a base.
So this whole thing started, right? It was, everyone knows WrapStock, right? WrapStock.com.
Sure.
You can get custom wraps for $100 and change it. It's super cool. That's what Enzo did.
Okay.
He went to WrapStock, got a custom wrap, and his alignment's amazing. I got an inspiration from there because that's the only place that you can really get inspiration. And I saw this one wrap that had a bunch of colors in it. And my whole thing is I wanted 4 or 5 colors that we could showcase on that car because that's what they wanted. They wanted to showcase their material.
Like our main thing that we looked at that we both like said that we liked together was a fading. I want some type of chaotic fade to the back.
And he's saying
Some
off
way.
the front, go to the rear.
Yeah.
And I said, so we went through one designer and I tried to outsource this design, went on the wrap page. I hit up one designer and he was like, yeah, man, I got you. And of course I didn't have a direction at the time. So I said Mandalorian because the customer liked Mandalorian.
We were trying to give the customer something that he liked, but we could also play off of as well.
So this is a customer's car. So you guys
Yes.
brought this in and
Yes.
This is fully sponsored.
Fully sponsored car.
nice.
This is a buddy of ours. He's always been around and he's always wanted to wrap his car and he's like a handyman. He did our lights and stuff.
He's been #1 fan. He's always been there. He's been a very good person to not only us, but to our business.
First wrap.
His?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
He's been wanting something white, something clean. He wanted just nice white transition to a blue like KPMF, right?
Yeah.
And then this came around and his color is that teal.
This is the teal.
Oh, okay.
His color is that turquoise green.
So does he own his own business? Is he a
He's, Jado Customs.
Jado Customs?
Yeah.
Cool.
And he's basically a handyman. Can do anything and everything. But that car itself is built with his own money. And it's not his only track car.
No.
But it's all driven by passion. So his brakes and everything was already pre-painted,
Okay.
that color. And then he brought me a color swatch. Originally, we were going to print on the dark blue
That was the home color. That
because
was
that's what they
started
had in
with.
stock.
Got it. Okay.
So as soon as he brought me the paint color in the car, I was like, man, I got to change it.
We got to get that teal.
So I pulled up the teal and I was like, all right, we're going to do that. Well, after the first designer did the Mandalorian one, we were like, nah, that's not it.
That's not. It's not. It
We
wasn't
came
enough.
into this prepping for PG Nola. Shout out to him.
Yes, that I was waiting on that. That's what I was waiting on. I was like, "What you gonna do, you
Because
creative
he's
little
always,
man?"
he's 20 years in. I mean, so are you.
Yes.
Just like you guys produce work that isn't trifled with.
I look forward to doing the reaction to his the most because he hadn't posted, and I was just like, I'm going to troll the hell out of this guy, man. I'm going to burn him up.
Yeah.
And then he got in one of the comments of one of the reaction videos and he was like, man, I didn't have enough time to get it to the level that I wanted it to. And I was like, motherfucker.
That's what I
damn it.
mean. That's
can't
what
even,
we were worried
I can't
about.
even rip on him, man. I was
Yeah.
looking forward to it. I was like, God, I got to give him a hard time.
Well, I'm sitting there telling him every day, I'm like, I can't wait. I want to see what he does. I was like, that's the one I want to see because he's so creative. He's so bright.
Yep.
And he does it himself. And I love that. And I was so excited. But he, no matter what, produces amazing stuff, whether for this competition, his business, everything.
Do you know PG?
Yes.
No.
Well,
We've
we met him
a
at
few
RapsCon.
times.
Yeah.
We've met him a few times.
It's just I don't know him. I didn't
Yeah,
sit down
not
with him.
no, but we've hung out, spoke, and
Yeah.
he knows of
Been
us.
in the group.
Well,
Yeah.
with you being a traveling installer, I mean, he doesn't keep a whole lot of people, on staff. I mean, he's particular.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so, might be something to
Yeah.
reach out to them and just, I mean,
Yep.
I'm big on it, man. I if I see somebody that I want to work with, I don't mind. I'll reach out and holler at them and say, hey, man, if you ever need a hand.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I told him that. I told I did when he said he was behind. I was like, dude, if you ever get yourself into a pinch, let me know.
Yeah.
I'll come back you up.
Yeah.
I'll go down to Louisiana.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I love crawfish.
Me too.
But of course, it's just like, it's like, how do I sell myself at 5 years?
Sure.
You guys at 20 and go, I know what I'm doing. And you're like, I was there at 5 years. And
Well,
it's
stuff like
that.
this helps.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's, again, what we tried to strive this whole
Yeah.
time is
Sure.
show myself, why am I different?
Well, I'll tell you this: the people that I've talked to that were going and voting, they were like, you know, if yours wasn't on there, we'd have voted for the blue one.
Yeah.
I heard it multiple times.
Yeah.
That was a very long 4 days.
What was that laugh about? That's a true statement. That was supposed to be a good moment.
It's
I
one
mean
sided
that
Full
with
of
story.
all
shit
the. I
most
mean
of the
that.
time.
I mean
This is
that
his
with all
podcast,
respect.
guys.
I really do. I'm it, and I think you guys did a good job because when you're scrolling down through there, there's only a couple cars that really stand out. There's only a couple that really stop
Yeah.
you, and I think that you needed to think about the competition all the way through. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't just say, okay, send me some film, let me do a cool custom wrap, and that's it. Like you had to be a little bit
You
strategic.
had to think outside the box.
So
And then outside the box again.
after The Mandalorian came through, and I was like, no.
I looked at him, I was like, he ain't gonna produce what we want. We have to top the vehicle that we sent in. And
So was this the designer that you were talking about from Pembroke? He was the one that designed the Mandalorian, or did you use somebody else?
This is
He's-
someone completely different.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a new guy? You hadn't tried?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were branching out.
I was just
Gotcha.
trying to see what people's prices were, what they could produce for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you went back to this guy and was like, "Hey, man, try again."
This
We went
was
with Dan.
Neva.
Okay.
Reached out to him, and he was our highest quote because we were going to pay for the design and everything like that. I explained the whole situation. I was like, look, this is what I want. I got 5 film. This is the colors that I got. I want a print
yep.
from the rear. I want it to fade up to the front. I said, I then want my black and my texture to come from the front, go to the rear. I was like, I
Want
need
it to overlay.
So did you know Dan before?
Yes.
Yeah. How did
We-
you know Dan?
social media.
Gotcha.
It's just
That's my
networking.
homie.
She networks a lot more than I do, or a lot of people
Yes.
notice her more
I
than
love
me.
me some Dan.
And then they have their thing through the mutual
Yeah.
bad post that she had.
Yeah.
It's a mutual relationship towards.
The person.
Oh, okay. Got it.
He has his own thing that happened with that person.
It's a local talent,
Yeah.
and they clash.
Got it. Got it.
But I'm the one that reaches out to talk to everybody. I'm like, hey, hi, I'm Haley.
Gotcha.
So once I explained everything that our client we're
And,
sponsoring,
Dan's been around for a while.
Yeah.
and
I mean,
that's why it was like kind of like a. I mean, he started doing his classes and everything on Adobe too for people
Mm-hmm.
that wanted to learn that, and I was like, okay, I think this would be a good option.
Yes.
For the timeline that I had, someone that could produce something.
Somebody
and
that was
wasn't
going to
be
listen
flat.
and work with us.
Yeah, a lot of designers in Raleigh, they're very flat with their imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's commercial. You don't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very specific thing. I mean, when you're talking, you know, when you go to art school and you're learning graphic design, they're teaching you to design for a magazine.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
offset printing. They're teaching you, you know, bleeds, and they want you to understand that, you know, you're working with inside this box, and you need to use certain kerning and design elements, and you're not learning that.
No.
You know, and that's so, and then you try to take that, and then you try to teach that designer how to design for commercial wraps.
Yeah.
That's even that jump is massive.
Yeah.
But then to go from that to something like this, like to a full custom design, it's pretty cool. So
I told him I wanted to abstract lines in there somehow. So at first he gave me skulls in the background. So it was going to be that print, but skulls.
Mhm.
My client
like,
was
no.
like, I don't like
Can we
it.
put parts on there?
It's
Can we do
cool.
car stuff?
It looked cool. And of course, it served the purpose they were looking for. However, that's a built car. We were like, car parts,
Car parts.
change it out. As soon as he changed it out, it definitely changed the whole ordeal.
So the back and forth was pretty minimal
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. It was like hey, I like this. He's like, change anything. Tell me anything that I got to change. And of course there was, hey, change this. Like at first
Small
the
things.
turbo was, I don't know if you know wheels well, but they're BBS wheels, the really high visible European BBSs. And I was like, that doesn't go in that car. So then we changed it for spark plugs, turbo. And put that
you're
into
saying
the mix.
where the turbo was a wheel.
Yes.
I got you. Okay.
So it was still the same overall.
Yeah.
Um,
But the biggest kicker with this was what it was supposed to look like. The original.
yes.
That dark blue in the front, we weren't even going to have it really be a part of it at all. We had to go on a whim. We didn't order enough material.
So that black rave
So
was going to engulf the front.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
I looked at him, I was like, he's like, I don't know what we're doing. I was like, we're going to get creative is what we're going to do.
For sure.
We're going to get creative right now. We're going to do what we know how to do best.
Yeah, do what you do. Well, that's kind of cool too, because that kind of, that really makes it yours and makes it kind of more who you are. Design on the fly.
Yes.
Grab some knifeless, grab some stuff, and let's.
All of those small pieces, I sat in my side room, cutting for a few hours. All of those cut, I laid all of those, every single one of them.
That's cool.
And at the end, we ran into it. It was, of course, we only ordered so much film. I didn't want to keep asking for more
No.
film.
Right.
Because again, it's all full sponsorship. I don't want you to spend $3,000 on me to
Yeah.
send me material, which it may not be that much for you, but
Still,
that company, it's just,
I don't like to.
I wanted to create
It's
something
already
that was
humble
different.
enough, like
Oh,
giving
I'm
me
telling you, when I seen
something.
Javier post his, I was like, Josh, we messed up, dude. Because Javier had like a spray. He had
Yes.
like 12
Yes.
rolls out there. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, we missed a huge opportunity here. What are we doing?
And that's like where we went.
And
It
I don't
was-
know that he used them all. It could have just been for a photo op.
Yeah.
I think Javier's a professional enough that he's
Yes.
not taking advantage of a situation. But
And yeah, so that black was supposed to engulf it, but we ran out with all the cut files. So I only had the dark blue left, and we already planned on doing the dark blue on the shatter. And then I was like, you know what? I hit up my guy. I was like, look, I need something printed on this blue.
Right
I
now.
can't just put blue on
Today,
there.
not tomorrow.
I was like, I need this car done yesterday. And that's where the deadline was. That
Yes.
Tuesday that I picked up that material is he printed that. And I was like, look, I need something different. He's like, all right, I matched these lines on this to match the side, and they're ghosted. I was like, perfect. And I was like, and then, of course, I conformed it to the bumper, put in my inlays that would match the rear, put the black rave in there to not match because the whole car doesn't match. But it
Exactly.
does. It does in where it counts. It just, we made it chaotic.
what was your thought on the films?
Are we being serious on this podcast?
I have infomercials. I learned so much about that film.
Yeah, so this film was very different, but we also kind of
We've worked
We're in
with
that
so
realm.
many
Right,
so many
yeah.
films that it was like, okay, what baby is this? What 2-3 films made this baby right here? So I can be like, okay, so it lays like this, the air egress is like this, but it folds like this. Like that's how I look at it whenever I'm touching a brand new film. I'm like, you're like this, but you're also like this, and that makes it easier for you to learn the film quicker.
So I was surprised when we got it and realized that it was that calendared film.
Yeah.
It was a whatever they call it, the external polymer upgraded, whatever, all the high end. But at the end of the day, it's a calendared film, and,
Yeah.
and you have to treat it accordingly.
Exactly.
And so when I took Justin's class, Justin had really just started pushing the wrap matrix and the zero stretch, and he had
Yep.
talked about how he made a comment that was like calendared might be better. And when he said it, I was sitting in the back. I'm like,
I understand that,
what the
yeah.
hell did he just say? But when you're talking about stretch and shrink and
calendar shrinks more.
it shrinks more. So you can, you're almost
It's already doing it.
pre-stretched. I mean, everything, so it's shrinking into the car. And so like, I just kept reminding myself of that while I was driving. I was like, well, the man said,
Yeah.
it's what he said. It said he could be better here. So it was a challenge.
It was. It has amazing air release though.
Yeah.
Beautiful air release.
The
Absolutely
tack
loved
is
it.
strange.
It is.
It's like it doesn't, but
is.
it does kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's a strange.
It
But
is.
As you see on this, like that black was clearly engulfing the front.
Mm-hmm.
Even the upwards view, I didn't have as much blue on the top of the fenders and the design. And then
the pieces are only supposed to go so far, and he's like, "You're doing too much." I was like, "I'm doing amazing." He leaves me alone.
So
I was like, "It all matches. It's fantastic."
this was a great design to go off of, and of course, with the
It
amount of
was.
film that we had to make some of it work because some of the cuts didn't come out good on the plotter stuff. Like we didn't have enough film, so
one side was longer than the other in the cuts, so we had to figure it out. Everything throughout this we had to figure out because
But it was
something
fun.
wasn't the same as the other. And then the film itself, pulling those little cutouts, not the ones I cut, that was fine, but the long cutouts off of that backing, I'd
Yeah,
rather
and
not do
relaying
that
it
again.
'cause
Yeah, I think everybody
I would rather not do that.
we
one
tried to
again.
pre-mask it, and
didn't help.
Nope.
not on the texture. No. We were just trying to, of course, where all the dips are and everything. You want to pre-mask
Yeah.
that to make it easier, but at the end of the day, I was ripping that off and just
Yep.
installing it. And that's why we don't have videos.
Yes.
Who wants to watch me struggle putting on a
Oh, I'd love to. I think it'd
interconnected
be funny. Well, I seen one.
square?
You posted a story.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Well, that's what Tim was like. Don't post that. That's mean. They're gonna whatever. Just post it. I got infomercials anyways.
Complete opposite. I felt good when I seen. I was like,
Yep.
I'm glad he posted. I'm glad he
Yep.
shared that because that's the reality of what we were working
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
So I
it
think
is very
important.
sticky. So
So-
I put some on my leg, and I told him, I was like, once I put it on my leg, I was like, all right, so this may be wrap, but it also doubles as athletic tape. Also, and I'm sitting there building stuff. He's like, what do you? I was like, this is a slingshot. You didn't know this could do this, could you? I was like, this Canadian film has no limits.
You see her start stretching this excess across my battery tender, and she's making a slingshot, and I'm just like,
What are you
"Can we
doing?
wrap?"
I'm like, come here,
like,
come
but
here.
This
look.
thing done.
I was like, this can be a pour strip.
And then when she pulls it off her leg, it pulls her leg with
pulled,
it.
like everything. I was like, see, okay, all right, here we go.
Oh.
You know, using new films, that's like one of the scariest parts is how is it going to remove?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, and so I'm glad that we got a chance to use a race car because I'm a little less worried. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not
It's
as
okay.
It's okay, right? They,
Yeah.
They're going to run it into the wall. They're going to race it. Like it's
Exactly.
it's a race car.
Exactly.
You know, when you're doing somebody's personal car, there is it's nerve wracking.
It
you know?
is.
So for
It
this
is.
one, for honest review, it was not bad. If you're gonna put it to tech wrap, air release is way better than
Oh
tech
yes.
Sure.
Oh yes.
Way
But I
better.
want to say about the tackiness is about tech.
wrap. Yeah,
It's about tech.
because you can
wrap.
pop it up if you're quick about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you
But
let it
it's just
settle,
that
of course.
you got to do that nice quick one though.
And we didn't get a lot of glue lines. We didn't get
Yeah.
there was not a whole lot of sanding. Or
For the amount
adhesive
of
roll over.
working in that we had to do, I'll say that it did very well with glue lines. Like that did very well.
So
The crappy thing is, if I was going to compare it to any backing, it was like Avery with a little bit more grab. Because every time that I pull Avery, like you got to have that lateral tension all the way across that film,
Or
or
it's
it's
gonna
going to zipper, and it's just you can't do it. This stuff is the same way, except
Yeah,
for I
it
was
does
pulling
zipper
her
very
across
easily.
the shop, and when the video started, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And she's like,
He's
"You're
like-
struggling too."
He's like, hold on. I was like, I am with my whole body.
All I see
My
is
whole
both
body.
hands at the top and the bottom.
And I'm just
I'm pulling in the middle, and all I
trying.
see is the middle just get pushed towards me. I'm like, all right, hold in the middle. So she's like, yeah, but that doesn't hold the bottom. And I'm like, just hold in the middle, and then I'll work it out after that.
Meanwhile,
And
I'm
it's
like,
just-
do you know how quickly we can pull bumpers on a regular basis?
right.
Have it laid already. That I'm just like, God. Like you hear me in there, I'm like, I didn't even have to go to the gym this week because of this material. I am fit. I am good.
So I talked to I think it was Frank. Was it Frank, Josh? Yeah. So Frank, he's at Tecton, and so yeah, we had talked back and forth about him coming down and doing an episode with us. So I'm interested to hear his story and
Yeah.
how somebody gets into that business.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I hope I'd love to talk with whoever started Grimco or
Yeah.
maybe even Frank Fellers one day. Like sit down and like kind of hear their story because
Yeah.
when you talk about installers and a person that's wrapping cars, like before I met Dustin Owens, and Dustin Owens is the guy that invented the Rolly Pro. He's a really good friend of mine. He's a great guy, very misunderstood. But he was one of the first people that I knew that that I thought was successful in our industry. It meant a lot to me to work with him and understand his methods and stuff like that. And so, but to see him in a position to where he didn't have to wrap cars every day, and he went from wrapping cars every day to not having to wrap cars every day and still being in the industry. It was really cool. It's
nice to see.
It really, it kind of gives you hope.
It was, is it John with the podcast?
Duver, yeah.
He said, we were listening to it today, and he said, you have to work yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
You strive to work yourself out of a job, is what he said.
Yeah.
He's like, that's what you should look forward to in life.
Yeah. Shout out to John too. John
Yes.
Duver and Rap IQ podcast.
Absolutely.
It's great. I do.
Listening to you all day.
She listened to ours first.
I did.
I called it. I'm just saying.
I listened to y'all
honest right
first.
there.
I did. Shout out to Justin, Young Duff for life.
For sure. It was
Always.
Cool. It was great having him on. No, I like John. I want to have John up. I think it'd be a great.
I love that. I love that story because I really do. I love Young Dolph. I love what he stands for. I love his music because it's not just rap. It's deeper than that.
It is.
Like you said. Like as I was listening to it, I was like, you're right. Like a lot of his songs. Like one of my favorite is Get Away because it's talking about the things in life I want to get away and you can't. You still have to work through them, but. Like Dolph he has good morals.
It really does, and it's
really
like
good morals.
it's underlining. And I think if you just go in and you just listen to some of the music, you gotta listen.
You gotta listen.
You gotta hear it out. And I think
you can't just listen to the beat. You gotta listen to the words.
Yeah, and he had a good message. So
yes,
it was
absolutely.
Cool. Made it a lot easier to when I heard Justin talking about the Item A Foundation and stuff like that.
I didn't know that, and that's phenomenal.
Gives me cold chills just talking about it was.
That's a phenomenal thing.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and to keep it going because that's just keeping his family going, his legacy, everything.
I mean, like they said, they had a plan.
Yep.
It's a good plan.
Mm-hmm.
Still
Crazy,
keep going.
crazy story.
It is. But at this point, what better person to do it but somebody that had to push for a struggle and an outcome,
For sure.
like most rappers do. You get rappers rapping for rappers.
I know.
That's
cool. And it's not easy, you know what I mean? Like that. He was in a space. So very cool. Well, guys, it has been fantastic. This has been great.
Yes.
I have enjoyed the hell out of it. I feel like we could talk for 2 more hours.
We could. I feel like we could.
There's plenty to talk about, for sure.
So you guys will do it again?
Yes.
You
For
had
sure,
fun?
you'll have
Absolutely.
us on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Absolutely.
I want to hear more. I want to dive off into it, and I want to, I want to follow along with you. I feel like 5 years, man. Like
We've been through a lot in 5 years, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't want to not touch vinyl every day.
It's not to put us above anyone
No,
else. It's
not
just
at
we've
all.
had our own. We've learned on our own.
We've learned, and then from hearing other people's stories, like they're like, keep doing what you're doing. And yes, I'm going to. Thank you. Like, thank you for telling me to keep on the pathway that I am on, so I don't make the mistakes that you just told me about.
for sure.
And it makes a difference.
Well, the industry is good for that.
It
You know
is.
what I mean? And
It's a family, like Troy had started. It's a rap family.
Yeah, it
we
really
are.
is.
We are a family, and once we treat each other like family, where we can go is endless together.
and you're gonna have little family feuds here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's gonna happen.
It's
you're-
going to.
You're gonna run into that stuff, and it just takes getting over yourself, or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, or coming finding that solution and working together. And
Being
Absolutely.
coachable,
Yeah.
even if it's not that
Yes.
position to be in, but you got to be coachable.
Always.
At all moments, no matter which way it goes.
They know something you don't know, and it's fine.
It is cool, guys.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed the hell out of it. It has been great. I didn't know how it was gonna go with 1 on 2. I was like, man, this is gonna be intense.
But we're used
So-
to. We always have to bounce off of each other with everything because
Mm-hmm.
we're always doing this together.
It's the dynamic of the team.
I
Yeah.
like it.
It works
I
well.
think it's cool. It's exciting. I'm excited to see where it goes. So.
Yes.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, let's go.